and they produce an antibody called immunoglobulin E. Immunoglobulin E, right? You got that?
No, I haven't got that. No, try it again.
Immunoglobulin E.
Okay.
I'll say that again. Immunoglobulin E.
This is TalkSport. We are the two Mikes. We have been nominated for an award, not surprisingly, and it's very nice to say very good morning to Mr. Mike Porky Parry.
Yes, good morning, Mike. Yeah, I was absolutely thrilled, actually, to learn of the award.
Yes.
When I eventually learnt about it, that is.
Yes.
Because I saw it on
these
somebody's
things come out
tweet.
in dribs and drabs, you know.
Yes, I suppose they do, yeah. I mean, is this an official... we've been officially... nominated, have we?
Well, yeah, I'm not just making it up. It's not like the one you say that's on the top of your television, you know, the internal, in-house, UTV award.
Why haven't I
you say you won?
Some sort of official notification from some official body?
What do you mean, from IRN?
Is that who it is?
Yeah, we've been nominated in the category of Best Special News Feature.
Excellent.
For the overnight show that we did on TalkSport and Talk Radio.
I feel very humble.
Of course, on the American election.
Yes, exactly, yeah.
Which was a hell of a night, if you remember.
Yeah, of course it was, yeah. It changed the world.
It certainly did. And so basically, we're looking forward to the dinner, to the awards ceremony, which is going to be great fun.
Thursday, March 23.
And so all is very well.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, looking forward to that indeed. That's great. Well, I want to thank people at IRM for nominating us. That sounds great.
It does.
And, we'll find out a bit more about it when our chaps here tell us all about the
well, don't worry about that. I mean, you don't need to be told. I'll keep you well informed of everything that's going on. You know,
good.
You don't have to sound as if you're feeling somehow hard done by.
No, I'm not feeling hard done by at all. I feel very honoured, actually.
Yeah, Best News Special or Feature nominee.
Oh, yes.
US Election Special Talk Radio.
Sounds great.
So there you go.
Excellente.
Congratulations.
Very prestigious body.
Please try not to gerrymander the result.
No, we won't be doing that, don't worry.
That's good.
Now then, you talked about Leicester.
I think they had a great result last night. I mean, everyone was predicting
I thought it was a brilliant
Twitter,
result.
all over Twitter, it's going to be 8-0, it's going to be 10-0 over two legs. And I think, given the state of Leicester being knocked out of the FA Cup by Millwall at the weekend, I think, for them, this is a tremendous result.
Well, they look more like Leicester than they've looked all season, really. Yeah. And there's a, 2-0 down could have broken their spirit, but a tremendous comeback goal, if you can call it that, by Jamie Vardy. Looked like the Jamie Vardy of old, didn't it?
Well, it's a proper away goal in the Champions League.
Drinkwater made it for him?
Yeah, I think it was.
Yes, that's right.
The point is that, they get an away goal, they go back to Leicester for the second leg, and, anything can happen.
Shouldn't have any problem. And then they find themselves in the quarter-final of the Champions League.
They would.
Now, that is a tremendous achievement when you think about it, considering the group they came out of. So I would say...
Well, they topped their group.
Yeah, exactly.
Their group was not very difficult, actually. No, it wasn't, because they were the top seed in the group.
Yeah,
so they did not have the sort of group that, say, Arsenal or Manchester City would have.
Well, you say that.
Their group was easier.
Yeah, but they were, of course, virginal to the Champions League.
Yes, I know, but
so
to say their group was difficult would be incorrect. It was not a difficult group.
No, to handle it as well as they did, I thought was absolutely
Do you remember
terrific.
Who was in their group?
Yeah.
It was like Bruges and people like that.
Yeah, well, it's, I mean, if you're in the Champions League, you're a top club, man. Top club.
A top club man?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, what's happened to you? You turned into the man from Cannock. You're the top club man.
Top club man, yeah. Yes, so much to be pleased about there. I totally agree with you, and they've got to build on that now and rally themselves because, as I've said, and as I keep saying... And I will keep saying there is no danger of Leicester City going down.
Yeah, well,
so don't even worry about it.
I'm still banking on my treble, which is out of the FA Cup to Millwall, out of the Champions League to Sevilla, and relegated.
Well, I think you're going to lose out on the second too.
But they've given themselves a chance.
They won't go out to Sevilla, and they certainly won't get relegated. When you look at the other teams in the Premier League, there are at least three teams much worse off than they are, much poorer than they are.
Well, there are at the moment.
Everton are going to play Sunderland on Saturday. It's a 3 o'clock kickoff. Every Everton game at Goodison Park between now and the end of the season is a 3 o'clock Saturday kickoff.
What's wrong with that?
Well, it means I can't get there because we do a show here on TalkSport
against you
from 11 to 1. I'm thinking.
Well, why don't you take a couple of Saturdays off? I don't mind.
No, I'm not taking Saturdays
off.
Take
a couple of Saturdays off. I'll work with somebody else. You go to the game, everybody's happy.
No, if I took a Saturday off, they would just cancel the show. They wouldn't have you working with some other dumb cough.
Oh, really? Are you sure about that? Are you sure you want to go down that particular road?
Are
you really sure you want to go down that road?
What I was going to say is... No, I'm not going to take the time off. If you want to take time off, push off. You're pushing off in a couple of weeks anyway, aren't you, somewhere?
I'm going to New York.
You're in New York, yeah. Well, there you go, you see.
To see my mother.
Oh, right, OK. Yeah, that's the excuse, is it? Yeah.
And my sister.
Won't be any bladderation involved then.
And my sister.
Won't be any bladderation involved.
Well, we'll have a drink, yeah.
Oh, all right, yeah,
but the difference between my mother and your mother, of course,
yeah.
my mother loves me, whereas your mother detests you.
How do you know that?
Because you've told me.
No, I haven't.
Yes, you have.
Don't be ridiculous.
You told me that. I'm sure you did.
No, I've never told you that, and it's completely untrue, so
right.
I wouldn't tell you that.
Okay, then.
What I have thought about towards the end of the season, maybe the last home game of the season, which I think might even be West Ham, actually. I'm not sure. I'll check on with my diary.
What, at Goodison, you mean?
The Goodison, yeah.
The West Ham game in West Ham is coming up quite shortly. Isn't it?
So it can't be because it's only a few weeks later. We played West Ham. We have, yeah. The last. I think it's Chelsea. I think it's Chelsea.
Are you still suffering this globalisation amnesia thing?
No. I think it's Chelsea. Certainly, our last game away from home this season is the Arsenal at the Emirates. Yeah,
right.
And I think it might be Chelsea. But anyway,
and is that 3 o'clock kickoff as well?
Yes, it is actually. Yeah.
Well, you can get to that, can't you?
What?
You can get to an Arsenal 3 o'clock kickoff.
Oh, yeah, I am. Yeah, well, we're playing Spurs week on Sunday.
Well, you can get to that one.
I'm going to that one. It's
so you've just told me you can't
go
to any game. You can now go to at least 2.
Oh, you see, you're losing your marbles. I said at Goodison.
No, you didn't say at Goodison.
I did.
You can't go to any game.
I said I cannot go to any more games at Goodison. They're all 3 o'clock Saturday kickoffs between now and the end of the season. However, I am thinking of an extreme measure for the last game.
Oh, yeah?
Helicopter. What's your
Why don't you
problem?
just get one of those flying cars that you keep talking about?
Well, that's
same thing, right?
If they were here, and there was a company running, air taxis or something like that, that would be a solution.
So you're thinking of getting a helicopter from where?
Battersea Heliport after the show, which finishes at 1 o'clock, to Liverpool, probably Speke Airport, or somewhere nearer to the city centre, which would take an hour, I'm told.
An hour in a helicopter?
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, and they get there for 2, and then you see the game, obviously.
How'd you get from the airport to Goodison then?
Fast car.
Fast car?
Yeah, absolutely no problem.
I would get a motorbike booked if I were you.
Well, maybe something like that, yeah. But anyway, there are possibilities.
Do you think anybody cares about how you're going to get to the last game of the season?
Well, I do.
Well, nobody else does.
No, but I do.
Nobody gives monkeys.
Yeah, well,
in the nicest possible way.
I like to share my thoughts with.
I mean, if anything, whenever you turn up normally for an Everton game, they lose. So, I mean, there's a lot of Everton fans who would rather you didn't go.
Well, they didn't lose when I turned up for the Manchester City game when we won 4-0, did they? So, another nonsensical statement
when was
from
that?
you. It's about a month ago now, isn't it?
Was it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
By the way,
what about the Chelsea 5-0 defeat?
Well, that was before Christmas. That was in the first half of the season, which didn't go to plan. Did you see the speculation at the weekend that Kasper Schmeichel may be on his way to Goodison Park?
I didn't see it. No, I saw
particularly if Leicester run into trouble in the dying days of this season.
I saw people saying that they quite like him at Manchester City. I didn't see any sign of him going to Everton.
Yes. There were pretty broad-ranging reports on that particular issue, which again. You have to say is a sign of positive thinking, in my view.
Is that right?
Okay, now, guess what happened to me?
Can we get off Everton now?
Well, you got onto it, not me.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
I did not.
You did. You said, when you're next going to Everton.
No, I
didn't.
Said
it's
you started telling
Saturdays.
me that you've looked at all the fixtures.
Yes.
Have you forgotten already what the first 3 minutes of the show was about?
No.
I was talking about Leicester. You started saying that you can't go to any more Everton games because they're all at 3 o'clock.
Now, guess what happened to me this morning?
I don't know what happened.
There was a banging on the door, right?
Which door?
My door, my front door.
You mean the one that's got the metal bars up on it?
No, it's got a gate in front of it, and a chap banged on the door.
Yeah.
So
how did he get in the building?
Because at a certain time you can take the tradesman's entrance.
Really?
If you're the postman, so he takes that route.
Have they got a special bell? Because I discovered in my building there's a special tradesman's bell.
Yeah, no, it's a different entrance, which the postman takes, and this guy, because he was a tradesman, decided to take the same route. So he bangs on the door, and I look through the spile, to make sure it's not some nefarious character, and then it's a bloke.
And who was it?
Well, I didn't know to start off with. A bloke in a pork pie hat and a what you can only call as a sort of anorak.
An anorak?
Yeah. So I thought this guy's a bit dodgy. But
suspect.
I'll open the
Was he wearing a tie?
No, he wasn't wearing a tie. Neck shirt.
Right.
So I opened the door and I said, "Hello, can I help you?"
Did you keep the bars up, though? You kept the bars closed?
Well, that's a gate. It's a gate, Mike.
Yeah,
you can open the gate or you can close the gate. The gate was closed.
Well, so that was closed. So you look at him through the bars?
Yes, I'm looking at him through the gate, yeah. So I said, "Yeah, hello." He said, "Yeah, hello, mate." I said, yeah.
It's a bit harsh.
He said, he said, "So you got to turn off all your electricity." I said, "Sorry?" "Yeah, turn it all off, will you?" I said, "Sorry,
Did you say please?
Well, not really, no. I said, "Who are you then?"
"Who are you?"
He said, "I'm from the gas board."
All right.
No, he didn't, sorry. He said, "I'm from British Gas."
All right.
And I said, you're from British Gas. I said, OK. I said, why?
Did you ask him for his ID?
Well, hang on. So I said, why do you want me to turn on my electricity? He said, because I'm changing your electric meter. I said, well, you're from British Gas, aren't you? He says, yeah, I do your electric meter as well, mate.
Great.
And I said, have you got any identification? And he showed me this thing hanging around his neck on a lanyard, actually similar to my Mercedes lanyard.
Did it say Mercedes on the lanyard?
No, it said British Gas. Oh, right. So I said, why?
See the time.
I said, what is the problem? He says, the problem is, mate, you haven't paid your electricity bill for a year because your electricity meter don't work, does it? I said, I don't know.
What, so you haven't paid an electric bill for a year?
That's what he told me. I said, well, hang on. I said, where is my electricity meter? He says, it's through that door there. Can you give us the key? I said, what key?
What, the door where?
Well, there was a door in the corridor, like a grey door. Yeah. You open it, there's all these meters behind it, apparently. But he thought I had the key. And I said, why would I have the key? He says, well, you have to have the key to send the readings back. Yeah. I said, I've been here 15 years. I've never seen the meter. I've never sent the reading back. Well, that's probably why you're not paying any electricity bills.
Well, they're probably just estimating it, so you might get a massive bill now.
Yeah, might do.
For thousands of pounds.
I know, yeah. But anyway, he then insisted on coming into my house.
Yeah.
And I said, what for? He said, I've got to test your plugs. I said, and I've got to turn your electricity off.
What time of the day was this?
This is about 8:30 this morning.
God, if somebody told him I might do at 8:30, I wouldn't have answered it.
Exactly,
Shocking. Anyway, tell me some more about The Intruder coming up in a little while. We are the two Mikes. Coming up later, Mark Dawson's going to join us. It's Porkyvision night as well. We're going to put that out on Periscope. This is TalkSport. TalkSport, we are the two Mikes. Loads coming up later on, of course. We'll be doing Porkyvision, and we will be talking to an historian later on as well. Now, this is as a result of the Postman Pork scenario that we did on Monday night, because the author in question, Rebecca Rydell, had either somehow sent a book in by herself or somebody had sent it in on her behalf, a book about
1666,
Plague, War and Hellfire.
That's right.
And she's a fan of the show, and she heard you talking about it and dissing the book and saying that you thought it was very boring and that you weren't interested in it.
No, I didn't say that.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
Well, her tweet says that.
Oh, right.
I'm terribly sorry you found
misheard me, obviously.
No, I don't think she had. And she said that you obviously were more interested in the Mercedes-Benz lanyard.
Yes.
But she'll be coming on to talk to us about the book, which is out in paperback this week.
And somebody's told me she's a fellow Cestrian, i.e. she comes from Chester like me.
She was born in Chester, yes.
Lovely, well
Absolutely
done.
Right. Probably on a nicer part of town than you, I
doubt it.
You think that you can be a bit snobbish about that, do you?
Well, we'll see which part of town she comes from. No problem at all.
Here's one from a Red Man who says, Porky, the last game of the season is on a Sunday. You won't be working anyway. #plank.
Oh, right. Is it? Of course it is. All the games are 3 o'clock on Sunday last game of the season.
So if it's good,
is it Chelsea? Is it as?
Well, then you told me it was West Ham. Then you said it was Chelsea.
No,
I don't know.
Chelsea.
I'm confused.
I think it's Chelsea.
So you won't need to take a helicopter.
I'll double check. I won't need to take a helicopter. I'll be able to get up for that. That's good news. Thank you for informing me. Yes.
Now here's one from Jeremy. Please could the two arguing men wish my daughter Eve from Pencoed a happy 10th birthday.
Well, Pencoed is the bog cleaner's hometown, isn't it?
But he's not the only guy that lives there, though.
No, of course he's not. And the young lady's name is?
Her name is Eve.
Eve, I want to wish you a very happy, is it 10th birthday?
10th.
Very happy 10th birthday, my dear. I hope you have a brilliant day, and I hope you have a brilliant life. And remember, being born in Pencoed makes you a special person.
Pencoed.
Because it's a special town.
Right, okay. Here's one from James, who says, for heaven's sake, man, Porky's 5 minutes wasted on Everton, but it felt like 10.
Really?
It's the two Mikes, not the Porky Everton show.
Yeah, but I mean, you have to talk about the things that are the fabric of the lifestyle of the people who bring you all this great news.
And Sam says the April-May live game's not announced yet. Can see Porky smashing out a helicopter to a totally empty stadium.
What's he said, sorry?
He said they haven't been announced yet, the April-May live fixtures.
Have they not? Oh,
No.
okay. Well, that could be why.
So when you spent 10 minutes wasting everybody's time
about
how you can't go to any of these games because they're all 3 o'clock on Saturday.
Not at all.
And they haven't actually been announced yet.
Not at all.
What is going on?
No, don't even worry about it, mate.
And here's another one from Martin.
Yes.
It says, any nefarious character where Porky lives is him.
I saw that. It's a bit harsh, isn't it?
Well.
Now, talking about nefarious characters, right?
Yes.
I did touch, didn't I, when we talked to the boys in the last show about this new phenomenon.
Andy and Jason.
And that's right, yeah. This new phenomenon of people actually breaking into cars with soft tops.
You did say this, yes.
By cutting through the... Now, I don't know why this has never happened before. I've never had a soft top in my life because of the fear that somebody would attack it with a knife or get into it with a knife. You know, it always seemed to me so simple to be able to do that.
Well, I suppose it'd be all right if you had a place to park it, somewhere safe.
Yeah, but I mean, just generally speaking, in the street, this one happened. A gang of young thieves lowered a small boy through the sunroof of a car so he could unlock its doors, okay?
Yes.
Gloria Thorpe, that's the lady who owned the car, who is 72, by the way.
Right.
So they looked like a group of Dickens characters. I spotted them when I reviewed my CCTV footage.
She's 72.
She's 72.
And what sort of soft-top car has she got?
A Citroen Saxo. And it was on her...
Citroen Saxo?
Citroen Saxo. It was in her own driveway in Harwich.
Right.
Harwich is a port in Suffolk.
Harwich is where you used to have to go to the Hook of Holland from.
Hook of Holland, absolutely right,
You know, I don't think they go anywhere from Harwich anymore because I wanted to take a ferry.
Oh, I think it's a container port.
Yeah, I wanted to take a ferry once to Sweden.
Yes.
From Harwich, and they don't go there anymore.
No, they don't. They go from higher up the east coast, don't
No,
they?
they've stopped it, apparently.
To Sweden.
Yeah, you can't go there that far anymore. You can go to Hamburg.
What, from the east coast?
Yeah, you can go to Hamburg.
You might be right.
You can't go to Scandinavia.
When
you know why I want to go there? Because I want to drive on that bridge,
right,
which becomes a tunnel.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Between Sweden and Denmark.
Well, why don't you just fly there?
Well, because I wouldn't have a car then, would I?
No, you hire a car.
Well, it's not the same.
Why?
Because it's not the same.
Okay.
You hire a car and you have an experience in a hire car. It's not the same as having an experience in your own car.
When I lived and worked in Newcastle, for the Evening Chronicle, you could definitely get a ferry from, like, North Shields, you know, or Newcastle itself.
Newcastle to where?
To Sweden.
Are you sure?
Yeah, because a friend of mine's father had a company called Time Brand Foods, and he used to go regularly and buy all his meat over in Scandinavia.
Right. On a ferry? You sure it wasn't just a
no, it was on a ferry.
Cargo ship?
It's on a ferry. No,
I've been from Rosyth. Over to Holland.
Yeah.
Zeebrugge, I think it was.
Yes.
Which was quite a good crossing.
But anyway, let's listen to this, shall we?
Yes, listen to it, yeah.
So
why would they try to steal a Citroen Saxo? It's a terrible car.
Well, they weren't. They were breaking in to find out if there's anything inside the car. This was on her own driveway, but, you know, it was in the night when she wasn't actually looking through the window, but she saw it on CCTV the next day. She said, looking at the pictures, I don't think the boys, there were 2 of them lowered into the car, could be a day older than 7 years of age.
7.
She said, the little one who drops in through the sunroof looks like the Artful Dodger. What is the world coming to when we have Fagan's gangs in this day and age?
Where is this meant to have happened?
In Harwich.
Harwich?
I've told you 4 times now it's in Harwich.
Well, you keep saying Harwich.
You don't seem to pick it up.
No, I'm trying to ignore you.
And by the way, Harwich is not in Suffolk, as I said, because if it is, why would the Essex police be investigating this crime? Perhaps they've gone across the border.
Maybe they've gone across the border.
That's right.
But, I mean, I thought you said there were only 4 when you were talking on the sports bar. Now there's 7, these kids.
Yeah, they're 7. Yeah. Well, they look very small.
And what did they steal from this Citroen Saxo?
Well, fortunately, she only had an old coat in the car, so they stole that. But, I mean, the point is... It's
not exactly crime of the century,
No,
is it?
but it's the principle of it. Now, you know, sometimes...
Yeah, but you said this is happening all over the place. It's not. It's happened once.
No.
With some old woman who's got a Citroen Saxo.
No, you fool. I made some inquiries as to whether this is becoming a prevalent crime.
Did
my
you?
Inquiries tell me it is.
Oh, yeah? Where else is it happening?
Well, you know, around...
Other parts of Suffolk?
Around and about. Now, let me tell you this. Sometimes when we leave here, because, of course, this week we're going to be doing mid-morning show on Friday.
That's right. So we're not here tomorrow night.
We're not here tomorrow night. So under normal circumstances, you know, if we weren't shooting off afterwards because it's a Friday, we'd probably take a stroll down a street called Rupel Street, which is close by, which is a lovely street of
it is a lovely
Victorian terraced houses, which is often closed off because people film in it. It's a very popular filming location.
Well, because it doesn't look any different, really, differently from when it was around.
It doesn't.
In the 50s and 60s, right?
Well, it doesn't look any different to the Victorian times, the early years of the last century.
Yes.
Although the houses now, which were built as cottages for railway workers at Waterloo Station, are worth about £1 million each, because I tried to buy one.
Yeah, I think probably more than that.
Yeah, about 1.2 million was the one I went to see. But anyway, to cut a long story short...
Yeah, it's too late for that.
There's a lady who lives there, because we've seen her sometimes pull a car around from the garages at the back, who has a very impressive F-Type Jag.
It's a sports car, right?
Sports car.
Yeah.
But it has a soft-top roof.
Yes.
Now, I've always said to myself, if you have a car that's valuable, worth about £70,000,
yeah.
I don't know why you put a soft-top roof on it.
Well, because you want to put the roof down.
Yeah, but that's only for about 2 months in this country. For the rest of the time, you need a solid roof. So a few years back...
Well, maybe she's got another car. Maybe she only uses it when the weather's nice.
Yeah, but she still leaves it out on the street, doesn't she, all the time?
Well, maybe she doesn't care.
Well, no, I mean, anybody doesn't care about a nefarious villain getting a knife and slashing the roof of your soft-top car to get into the car. Yeah, but
he'll be alarmed. I mean, it's one thing doing it to...
It's going off their rocker.
No, but it's one thing to do it to a Citroen Saxo. Yeah. If you've got a very expensive, sports car that has a soft top,
yes.
As soon as somebody does anything to it, I'm sure the alarm will go off.
Yeah, but
which would put them off doing it.
Don't remember, about a month ago, we read about a similar crime. Some chap broke into the car to try and steal it by cutting a hole in the roof, dropped himself in, and
don't remember that.
Yeah, I do. I remember it very well. And then he hot-wired it, started it, and he was away with it.
Well, I'm amazed if you could do that to a modern car, though, is what I'm saying.
Well,
because you can't really hot-wire cars. They've got all sorts of immobilisers on them now.
How do you know
because
this?
They've got all sorts of immobilisers on them. One of the things the insurance company asks you is, does your car have an immobiliser?
But an immobiliser doesn't necessarily stop you igniting the engine
it doesn't
through
stop
those,
igniting the engine,
but
it stops you steering
hot wiring
it. But
thing.
it stops you steering it.
Could stop you steering, I suppose.
So I mean, you'd only be able to drive in a straight line, which wouldn't work out terribly well.
No, it wouldn't actually. Although I'm sure when the engine's running, doesn't that disable all the immobiliser things?
Well, I think that's the point of having an immobiliser. Is that somebody hot-wires it and they still can't do anything.
Probably. But anyway, look, the point of my story is that I have a friend who has a Mercedes sports two-door car, even better than mine, right?
Surely not.
Yes.
What, you mean there's a better Mercedes than yours?
Yes, there is,
I'm astonished. Is it as old as yours? Or newer?
Well, mine's 1 year old, so
I think it's the end of the line, though, isn't it?
No, it's not, and I think his is a bit older. So, but what he's got, which is very interesting, he used to have sports cars where you could replace the soft top with a hard top.
Yeah.
But you had to keep the hard top in your garage. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Like hanging on ropes from the roof.
Yes.
You see what I mean?
A bit complicated, that.
Yeah, a bit complicated, and then you take.
But they also do the one where it folds into the boot.
Well, this is what I'm about to say to you. This was a fold back. So he got a new one, and it's literally a fold back.
Yeah.
And you sit in it, press a button,
yeah.
and it's like watching an escalator go backwards. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. My sister's got the same car.
And then to the boot. And
problem is when you do that, you can't put anything else in the boot.
You can't. That's exactly the point. So, but he only uses it to nip down to his country cottage in Cornwall occasionally. So he doesn't really need anything. So
who's this guy with the country cottage?
Just a friend of mine.
What's his name?
I can't tell you.
Why
not? Well, because he works in high finance and helps me finance a few of my projects.
Oh, really?
So I don't want to sort of reveal his identity.
You don't mind giving away lots of other people's names?
What?
You don't want to give this guy's name?
No,
we'll keep digging on that one.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway, we're out of time as ever. Coming up, Mark Dawson's going to talk to us. Porkyvision's coming
Excellent.
up. We've got a bit of history as well. This is Talk Sport.
Madness, they call it madness. Madness, they call it madness. I'm about to explain it, and then someone is losing it.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics, and of course, we are now nominated for an award by the IRN News Team Awards system. And here's one from Richard who says, "Fully deserved. Your election specials on US, UK general election and the Euro referendum have been top quality live radio."
Right, well,
that's very kind of him.
That's great, thank you.
Sean says this: "The ferry still goes from Harwich to the Hook of Holland. I've done that in the truck with both freight and passenger ferry."
Really?
Yes.
Indeed. Now, there's one here from Sue in Tonbridge, and I think it's directed to you. And she says, "Mike," I presume she means you. At last, Porky's been caught out in his lies. He was just heard to say, 'I had a friend.'
Yes.
We all know he hasn't got any friends."
Yes.
Pants on fire,
Pants on
Porky,
fire.
says Sue in Tonbridge. That's a bit harsh.
Yeah, really.
Yes.
Here's one from Squirrel. It says, carjacking is on the rise in America due to new cars being so hard to start when broken into. It often turns violent.
Oh, I see, yeah. So people
to,
now point a gun at the driver and say, drive
thing.
down that road and then get out and run.
Well, they sometimes just stop the car and just pull you out of it.
Yes.
I mean, that was what nearly happened to that boxer, wasn't it, the other day?
That's right, indeed.
Mr. Watson.
It was indeed.
Stu says, wish me a safe flight home to Edmonton tonight. I'm flying in a bloody propeller plane.
Where to? Edmonton.
Well, from Winnipeg to Edmonton.
Oof, blimey, that sounds like
quite a long way, isn't it?
man stuff, doesn't it? You know. The one here, it's from Jive, Arsenal fan, says, Porky, Everton are away to Arsenal on the last day of the season. Yeah, I told you that.
Well, no, but nobody seems to know.
I said the last home games against Chelsea and last away games against Arsenal.
Well,
but I've got to double check that. I should have got my diary out.
Well, Ant says the last home game is versus Watford.
Watford, that's
it.
it.
3
that's the
p.m.
one.
Saturday kickoff.
That's the one.
It's the penultimate game of the season, not the last.
Exactly, thank you. Yeah, that's
Everton
great.
finished Sunday 21st of May away to Arsenal. So it sounds as though Arsenal is the last game
That's right,
of
3
the
o'clock.
season
Yes.
at the Emirates.
Yes, that's it.
Which you can go to.
Yes.
And then the final game at Goodison is the previous Saturday.
That's right.
To Watford.
3 o'clock Saturday.
Yeah.
I told you. Every game now.
No, but you've got everything wrong about it so far.
No, I haven't.
You told me they were
Unless-
playing West Ham, then you told me
No,
Chelsea,
no,
then you said that the games hadn't actually been decided yet.
No,
and now you're saying it's Watford.
That's because I've got such an active brain. Listen, I have to say that there's been a lot of praise for Raheem Sterling after his performance the night before last,
That's right.
for Manchester City.
And although it was erroneously reported that he would miss the second leg, it turns out he's not going to miss the second leg.
Not. No, who
well,
said
no,
that?
not of course not. It was said because he had a yellow card.
Yes.
That it was one yellow card too many.
Yes.
And so therefore he would miss that game. But apparently that's not the case.
Yeah, do you think this is true here? Listen to this. Manchester City and Manchester United have held talks about holding the first overseas Manchester Derby. Pep Guardiola and Jose Mourinho are taking their squads to America on pre-season tours and will play in the International Champions Cup.
Right.
I thought that had already been done. I thought the...
I don't think the two Manchester clubs have played each other.
I think they've played in the same competition, haven't they? But perhaps didn't
Don't
play
think
each other.
so. No, I don't think so.
I thought they both ended up in New York one year because obviously these pre-season tournaments now are big money.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine if China, the way they're going, all the speculation about whether Wayne Rooney will go there. I mean, they could easily put up £10 million, couldn't they, for a competition involving 4 British clubs?
10 million. I mean, it wouldn't be enough, would they? Put up 100 million.
Well,
I'm sure.
well, perhaps not that, but certainly 25 million.
But
or
there's
something
no,
like that.
there's no reason why all of these pre-season tournaments have
Yeah.
to be in America. I mean, they could be anywhere, couldn't they?
Well, they're more likely to be in China because
Yeah.
that's where the money is. I mean,
Yeah.
the American clubs in the MLS can't possibly match the sort of revenues that China are coming up with, can they?
But what they can do, I suppose,
Yes.
is they can fill stadiums in America, which they may not be able to do in China.
Yes, that's true.
I mean, they can fill stadiums in China, but not with paying passengers.
True.
They'll basically just tell them to go and stand in a stadium.
Yeah, true.
Otherwise, they'll hang them up by the fingernails. Or something.
Yeah.
But I mean,
would,
I would imagine as well, because it's only 5 hours away, 6 hours away. It's easier to go on a pre-season tour of America.
Yes, no, I would as well.
But they can't really call it a Manchester Derby, can they? If it's not being played in Manchester.
Yeah, I think you would. I mean, if the stakes were high enough and they both took it very seriously and they're playing strong teams, then yes, I think of course you would. Of course you would.
Ian says this, Porky, it's called an immobiliser. The clue is in the name.
Yes, I know all about that. Don't worry. Now then,
it's true, though.
Listen, what I need to talk to you about is,
go on.
Do you think that your life was forged before the age of 25 and you've stuck to everything that sort of was imbued within you for the 30 years since then?
When you say my life,
Yes.
do you mean my personality? Do you mean my the
well,
events or whatever?
For instance, people always say I'm rooted in the past with music and all that, but I don't listen to much music that I really... I don't listen to anything that I listened to after the age of 30. What I'm saying is, if I go home now, I play stuff that probably I learnt up till 30, and since then, another 25 years, I haven't really changed at all.
But is that deliberately because you don't like it, or you just have avoided it?
I just think you've forged so much of what you do in life. Now, the reason I say this is because one of my journals has revealed this.
Yes.
Perseverance, stability, conscientiousness, character traits that once instilled will last a lifetime. But new research says no, not according to a groundbreaking study spanning 6 decades, which discovered that actually your personalities change beyond recognition between adolescence and old age as life takes its toll.
Well, it should really. I mean, because life experiences are bound to alter the way that you are.
Yeah.
I don't think your basic kind of approach to life necessarily changes. I mean, you, for example, would say that from a very early age, you were kind of mapping out your money-making routine. I mean, you were making money from the age of about 6. You were collecting Krugerrands.
Yes.
You were doing 2 paper rounds.
Yes, that's right.
You know, you were stealing diesel from a gas station, you know, by the age of 15.
No, I wasn't. No, I wasn't. No.
Well, you were involved in some kind of scam.
I was inadvertently sucked into that situation.
Right. But then you were involved in the Corona scam. You know, driving around the Corona lorry and shoveling off a few crates to mates when they wanted them in exchange for other things. You told us all this.
Well, that was
I'm not making it up.
No, that was a commercial exchange of a case of Corona.
Yeah, but not known to the Corona.
Dandelion and burdock.
Yes, but not known to the people.
For a crate of beer.
Yes, but not known to the Corona.
From the beer
people.
lorry.
Yeah, but the people who you were working for didn't know you were doing it.
And a tray of cakes.
Exactly.
From the cake lorry.
That's what I'm saying. So your sort of. Shall we say, sort of Artful Dodger style life was started pretty early.
That's a bit harsh. But anyway, look, it says here, a study conducted by researchers from the University of Edinburgh found that personal qualities they assumed were innate altered greatly between the ages of 14 and 77.
Yeah,
and they kept changing every decade. In 2012, researchers tracked down 635 people in this 30-year study. And tested all who were willing and found that they'd almost all completely changed their views on life, their values, their ambitions, you know, their reflections and all that kind of stuff, and that you don't live one life, you live many during the course of your life.
I think that's, for most people, that's true, because you probably know people who were in their 20s and were quite wild and crazy and were up to all sorts of things that they thought were no good.
Yes.
But then they suddenly reached 29. I mean, I know a couple of people like this, and they were like, "Oh, I must settle down and get married."
Yeah, that's right.
Whereas, you know, to not do that and to kind of remain a bit of a rebel, I suppose, is more unusual.
Yeah. Do you remember that famous Billy Connolly advert for something? I can't remember what it was. I think it was Goldfish, wasn't it? Did somebody bring out a
Goldfish?
Yeah, I think somebody brought out a credit card called Goldfish. No, seriously.
Oh yeah, I think they did.
That's right.
I vaguely remember that.
And he was a sort of like a heavenly figure, like a Jesus Christ figure. And he said to this guy, you know, wait until how do you pay your gas bill? And the young guy said, oh, Billy, I haven't got a gas bill.
Yeah.
Oh, don't worry, my boy. One day you will have. Yeah. You have to assume responsibilities as you go through life.
And I think a lot of people, when they do that, they do change. You know, they get married, they settle down, they stop, you know, having an eye for the women or the men.
Crazy left-wing revolutionaries, you know, parading around university campuses because they haven't got responsibilities. And then when they get to the age of 28 and find they've got to need a mortgage and things like that, they completely change.
They can do.
It's only the radical sort of hardcore who stay with it. But do you remember our friend Peter Hitchens?
Well, isn't there a common phrase, which is that if you're a Tory before the age of 30, then there's something wrong with you, and if you're not a Tory by the age of 40, then there's definitely something seriously wrong.
And didn't Samuel Johnson say something like, a man who doesn't change his mind doesn't have a mind, or something like that?
Very possibly.
Yeah. And do you remember Peter Hitchens? Well, Peter's still alive,
of course.
Still alive. So we all remember
Hey, by
Peter
the way,
Hitchens,
I printed this out earlier. Your good old mate Jon Snow on Channel 4 News last night, he did a Porky. He killed off Doris Day.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he said she was dead.
Really?
And then he had to apologise at the end of the news.
That's terrible. I've never killed anybody off, actually.
Well, you did. You killed off Mike Oldfield.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I mistook him for...
Said he was Jerry Rafferty.
Jerry Rafferty, that's right, yeah.
Drank himself to death in Ibiza.
But what I was going to say about Peter was, Peter used to be a communist. I mean, Peter now is, I would say, a right-wing...
He's a sort of arch-conservative,
absolutist, yeah. Well, I think he's more than so. I think he has very strong principles in the things he believes in.
He's a big believer in grammar schools.
Yes, that's right. But
he's very anti-drugs.
Yes, that's right. Well, he's anti a lot of things, and he leads a very decent and clean life. I think he's a top guy.
Do you?
And... I remember him saying to me once, in fact, I've read it as well, but he actually told me personally when we were on a train once going to Oxford, he said he used to be a communist when he was at university, but he gave it up literally because when he went to the meetings, the women were so ugly. And he said that he wasn't going to stick with a meeting.
Well, he's not exactly God's gift to women himself, is he?
Well, that's a bit harsh, isn't it?
Well, you think Peter Hitchens is a good-looking guy? I don't think so.
Well, yeah, but hang on. Serge Gainsbourg was an ugly man, but he managed to pull Jane Birkin, didn't he?
Well,
he was the best-looking woman in the world at the time.
That was a song.
Yeah, but he lived with her. They were a number, so to speak. You know, a numero. You know,
numero uno.
Yeah, number.
We've seen the time, by the way. We're running out of time rapidly. Rapido.
Yeah.
Now,
absolutely.
Now we've got lots and lots of things to talk about, including, of course, the Edinburgh Derby, which took place last night.
3-1.
I have to say,
3-1,
unfortunately for Mr. Mark Donaldson,
3-1.
his team were on the losing side.
That's right. Hibbies, the heebie-jeebies, beat the Jam Tarts.
The Highbees, yeah.
And of course, the heebie-jeebie manager is the wild man with the orange hair.
Neil Lennon.
Neil Lennon.
Yeah. Well, he's got orange hair.
Hey?
He's ginger, isn't he?
Well, the same thing, isn't it? Same thing.
Well, we'll talk about that as well.
Yes.
Coming up, Mark Donaldson.
Yes.
I don't want to change the world. I'm not looking for a New England. While you're looking for another girl. I don't want to change the world.
This is Top Sport. We are the Two Mics. Don't forget, we will be going live on Periscope a little bit later on in the show with Porkyvision, which, of course, is the best TV review this side of West Lothian. I say that in particular because Mark Donaldson's about to join us, and he knows West Lothian very well.
Does he? Yeah. The West Lothian question, of course, is a famous parliamentary bridge.
Pam Dale, who died recently, in fact.
That's right.
Was the guy who came up with it.
That's right.
Mark, a very good morning to you. Welcome.
Thank you. Do you know what the best thing about West Lothian is?
I used to live there.
It's the M8, because it bypasses it.
I was about to say,
That's
the road
very
out.
harsh.
The road
I mean, I
out,
know there are
yes.
parts of Livingston that you wouldn't wish anyone to go to, but when I was living in Lithgow, it was a very fine part of the world.
It's a lovely part of the world. Look, I'm from Mid Lothian, so there's a little bit of rivalry.
Yes.
So, yes, it was the Tandiel and the West Lothian question. That's
right.
good. That's good knowledge, Mr. Parry.
Well, you know, I studied my
it's
parliamentary
me that told him it
reforms.
was Tam Dale. He just knew the West
I knew it
Lothian
was
question.
Tam DL. I knew it was the West Lothian question, so don't even...
Well, what is
go
the
there.
West Lothian question?
The West Lothian question is the right of Scottish MPs to vote on English matters.
Or not.
Or not.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Thank you very much indeed.
Right, OK,
What
so...
about,
That's impressive.
Yeah, thank you.
You know, we're not just a pretty face over here, you know, the Two Mics.
in
You know, we've
fact-
just been nominated for an award.
Yeah, we have just been nominated for an award for our brilliant coverage of brilliant coverage of the US election. We've also had brilliant coverage of the British election, of the UK referendum, but the most brilliant of all apparently is the US election.
By the way, I'd take either of you as president instead of this idiot.
Well, I mean, that's a bit harsh, isn't it? You know, it's a bit far-reaching to start calling world statesmen.
He's
on our
not.
stem.
You've got to admit, Porky, even though you're a big fan of his, he's not doing a great job.
No, I didn't say I was a big fan
You are
of
a
his,
big
but
fan
you
of
show
his.
respect to people who have been democratically elected. That's all I'm saying without getting into that, OK? Now, what about this Edinburgh Derby last night? I bet you were...
Come on, you're not mentioning this.
Well, you know, I mean... well, hang on, are you going to try and, you know, get away from the facts? You're going to try and ignore things that,
Weasel out of it.
don't make you happy? Come on, let's have a response.
Beaten by a better team, hands up. But do you know what, right? You two both like your football. If your team loses and it's fair and square, you think, well, hands up, it's not the best, but unfortunately we've lost. How can a team in the biggest game of the season not bother turning up? When one of the players of the opposition is asked, why do you think it was so easy tonight? He's like, well, we wanted it more. We knew what it meant. Most of them didn't know what it meant.
Yeah.
It was like there was only one player that played 12 months ago in the replay who played tonight, and that was Jamie Walker. Honestly, and to compound the misery, all the supporters that couldn't go to the game, because the Champions League was on, even the club channels weren't allowed to broadcast it. So we had to watch on Periscope.
Right.
So this poor lad behind the goals got it must have been the battery power of a Nokia 3310, because he did a great job.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I was able to watch all 90 minutes, and I wish I hadn't. All credit to Hibs, but goodness me, Hearts, that was a shocker.
Is that down to Neil Lennon's sort of heart and fight, do you think?
Well, his determination.
I'm not asking you, I'm asking Mark.
Rugged determination.
What's wrong with you?
Yeah, go on.
He has to answer every question. Sorry, Mark, you carry on.
No, look, you've got Neil Lennon, right, who knows what a derby's all about. He was in plenty of them when he was at Celtic against Rangers, Leicester against Forest and Derby and these things. He knows what it's all about, and he instilled that in his players. He had a go at them after Saturday. They were awful against Wraith. I think that was reverse psychology. Let's have a go at them, fire them up. Meanwhile, unfortunately for Hearts, we've spoken before. They've got this young manager called Ian Cathro who's got good ideas and everything like that, but I didn't see anything. At least I thought after the first half he'd get a reaction from his players. There was nothing. You don't get all the time in the world in a derby, but the Hearts players certainly thought they could, and Hibs destroyed us, and it could have been more.
Yeah, meanwhile, over in the Champions League, Leicester got themselves a bit of a lifeline. I'll let you off now because I think that's enough about Hearts and Hibs.
Yes.
So we're not that interested. We just wanted to put you on the spot.
Yeah, very good.
Thank you. Sorry. But anyway, Leicester, who went into this game probably as the biggest underdogs of all time, and people were on Twitter telling me, you know, it's going to be 8-0, 10-0 against Sevilla over 2 legs. They actually had a pretty good game and got a pretty good result, didn't they?
They did, and I saw, I followed your colleague, our colleague Jeff Peters on Twitter, and he took a horse and cart to the game. Leicester have played like they've been carrying horses and carts. this season. And do you know what? Someone tweeted just before they scored. By the way, this isn't. This is a serious tweet, is what he put. When was the last time Leicester scored? And you have to go back. It was a while. But do you know what? If I'm a Leicester fan, I'm delighted at that because they've got a chance now. I don't think they'll keep a clean sheet at home. I think they're going to have to score 2. Why can they get results like that to keep them in a tie when it means something to them? I'd be disappointed in the players that they seem to have down tools in the Premier League now that they've got new contracts and a Premier League medal, yet when it comes to a really important game, then they can turn it on. That would disappoint me a little bit.
It's absolutely amazing, Mark, because, Danny Drinkwater had his best game of the season last night. Kasper Schmeichel was man of the match, I think, in terms of stopping the opposition from scoring. And I don't know whether the Leicester players just thought this is the sort of challenge that we revelled in last season. Now it's all happened in the Premier League. We've got to do it again in the Champions League. But they were very impressive, and I agree with you. I think they'll go through.
And by the way, what a fight they're going to have on their hands now in the Premier League to try and stay up. I mean, you can't just.
I don't think they will.
You're right about Drinkwater.
Yeah.
And it's funny. Someone said to me, N'Golo Kante's biggest achievement in football is earning Danny Drinkwater an England cap.
Yes.
Now that's a little bit harsh because Drinkwater was excellent last year.
Yes.
But why can they suddenly just turn it on and turn it off like a tap? That's got to be frustrating.
Yeah, no, it's got to be absolutely frustrating, but it's a mindset.
Well, Claudio Ranieri's more or less said that, hasn't he? He was very sort of kind to the players throughout the season. He didn't give them a hard time.
Yes.
He expected them to kind of come up with the goods themselves.
Yeah.
And I think he's been more frustrated than anyone because he doesn't understand why they've done it.
Yeah, and look, I'm not going to say who because I don't want to betray trust, but one of my colleagues is good friends with Steve Walsh, who was at Leicester last season.
Yes.
And throughout the season, we were told... Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
We were told throughout the season last season, Ranieri hardly has anything to do with it. It's basically the players, they've got this momentum. Ranieri doesn't need to do much. The players have got this momentum. And obviously, if he was, I don't know. If he wasn't that involved, he must have been because he was a coach. But his ultimate involvement last season, if it wasn't 100%, then, and it's not 100% this season, that for me, again, I mean, solving the problem would not be getting rid of the coach here. The players have got to take responsibility for this. And by the way, they could go through against Sevilla. It's not beyond the realms of possibility. They could also get relegated. I mean, what kind of roller coaster ride is this?
I don't think they will get relegated. I totally agree with you. They were like a bunch of schoolboys playing last season for each other, okay? And then, of course, their best player left and went to Chelsea, old N'Gola, and they just didn't find the motivation this season to do it, except when they play in the Champions League, because to them, that is stepping up. And it's, wow, this is the Champions League. Wow, we're flying into Europe. Wow, we're getting on this aeroplane and going to a foreign country. And I think that motivates them. And that's why I think they'll definitely get through against Sevilla. And I don't think there's any danger of them being relegated. In the end of the day, they've got far too much quality. And there are easily 3 teams in the Premier League much worse than them.
Good teams have gone down before. And I'll go back to something a teacher of mine said at school. Hard work can beat ability if ability doesn't work hard. Just because they've got good players, if the application is
very philosophical,
players, they could be going down. Thank you. That's
like
not bad for 1:54 in the morning.
Yeah, not bad at all.
Yeah.
Now, what about the rest of the Champions League stuff that we've seen over the last week or so? Because there's been some fascinating results. I mean, many, many goals. I was saying to Porky yesterday, I mean, the idea that you could get 14 goals in 2 Champions League games in the same night is bonkers, isn't it?
It is, and you look at the 2 games that were played on Tuesday and the 2 games that were played on Wednesday, and if you were to say to someone beforehand, which 2 games are going to produce more goals, I would think most people would have said Sevilla, Leicester and Juve, Porto. That City-Monaco game was phenomenal. Yeah. And the boy Kylian Mbappe, I mean, just get your checkbooks out, because this boy's a star. I think Monaco will go through against Manchester City, who just cannot defend. Atletico Madrid, dark horses, I'm saying it again, I've said it before, they were 25-1, they're into 12-1 now.
Yeah.
Would you want to draw them in the next round?
No.
I wouldn't.
Well, not really. I don't think there's an outstanding team who look likely to win the Champions League. I think that's why it's going to be a real guessing game, in the last rounds, in the semi-finals, because you normally say, don't you, oh, that Barcelona team are unbeatable, that Bayern Munich team are unbeatable.
At this stage, yep.
Yeah, nobody's saying anything about a team like that at the moment.
No, I mean, I wouldn't be siding with the favourites right now. I think there's value to be had. I like Juve. Sevilla, there's a decent chance they'll turn that around. Bayern, I'm still not sure about Bayern. Napoli, don't rule them out turning it around. And by the way, PSG, again, someone else that could do well in this tournament.
And also, I mean, looking at Spain as well, I mean, Real Madrid lost last night in a La Liga game, right?
Yep.
And they're only 1 point. I mean, considering Barcelona having this terrible, terrible season, which was kind of, I suppose, sort of the pinnacle of which was their loss to PSG. They're only 1 point behind now.
Yeah.
I think this might be the season for teams that don't concede. And I remember being at Old Trafford for the AC Milan-Juventus Champions League final in 2003. And it wasn't the best of games, but it was hard fought. I think if you've got a clever team defensively who can eclipse a clever team attacking-wise, I think you're looking at maybe a Juventus or someone like that could upset the odds this season and do well.
Yeah, very, very interesting stuff. Yeah. And as far as the Premier League goes, we were talking about Chelsea the other day. Apparently, Jose Mourinho is not happy about the FA Cup game that he's got against Man United because it's on the Monday before they play in the Europa League.
That's right.
You see anybody pipping Chelsea to the top at this point?
Not to the league, no. I did a double. I did 5-1. I got for Chelsea to do the double prior to the last round in the cup. So it's not the best draw. Man United at home and Arsenal have got Lincoln as well.
Yeah.
By the way, if Chelsea or Man United get through, that FA Cup semi-final is going to be pretty tasty as well. So that's maybe not the draw I was hoping for. But no one's going to pit them to the league because Manchester City are too inconsistent.
I totally agree. Indeed. I think United will beat Chelsea in the cup.
Yeah, well, we'll see how your predictions go. Mark, we've got to go. Thank you very much indeed. Mark Donaldson there. Good question here from Steve, who says, is Kante going to be the first player to win back-to-back Premier League games with two different teams?
I think, definitely in the Premier League, although an Arsenal player left... Who did it?
Well, think about it. We haven't got much time. We'll come back to that.
Yeah.
If anybody else knows the answer, do let us know. You can tweet us at the Two Mics. This is Talk Sport. This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics. There will be a podcast coming out a little bit later on, and we are going to broadcast Porkyvision on Periscope as well, so keep a look out for that. Mark Schwarzer won it back-to-back with Chelsea, then Leicester, says Stevie, amongst other people.
Yeah.
Although the thing is about him, he didn't really play much for either team.
No, he didn't, no.
Whereas if Conte...
He didn't play much for Chelsea, did he?
Well, that's what I mean. He didn't play much for Chelsea or Leicester.
No, that's right. Yeah.
Because, obviously Schmeichel was the main goalkeeper.
Yes.
But if you think about Conte, basically he won. He was the main player for Leicester. You'd have to say, be one of the main protagonists at Chelsea as well.
Oh, definitely. I mean, he's a 35 game a season man in the Premier League alone, and absolutely outstanding in his contribution to both teams. I mean, in fact, you could possibly say that Leicester wouldn't have won it without him.
No.
And Chelsea might not have been as good this season without him either. He's been that impressive.
Kojak says, what about Cantona? He did it consecutive seasons with Leeds and Man United, but that was not the Premier League, was it?
Leeds was the last team to win it before the Premier League.
Yeah.
And United were the first winners of the Premier League, weren't they? Yeah, that's
Indeed.
right.
So that doesn't quite count.
I suppose it counts in consecutive seasons, yeah.
Well, the question originally was, is it the first person in the Premier League to do it?
Yes, that's right,
Which I suppose technically it's not, but it would be the first person to have been so key in both teams, I think.
I totally agree.
David says this, I thought Mark Donaldson was coming on. All I could hear was Porky. I don't know why you bother getting guests on.
Well...
See, people don't like it when you keep interrupting.
No, I don't interrupt.
You answered my question to Mark Donaldson.
Well, funny enough, I felt it needed a bit of direction.
Well, Lee says this, Porky, give the poor chap a say.
Well,
Woodenhead says, might as well just bring Porky on as every guest doing his impressions of them at this point. He answers their questions anyway.
Yeah, well, we have to give a bit of guidance. Now, listen, you know that I pointed out to people that there was an exhibition at the Tate Gallery just down the road from us here, which involved the Picasso Panicular structure painting.
You're not going to go back on about that, are you?
I'm not going to go back on about it because, it was an issue which I raised. The Nation made its mind up, decided that I had a very relevant point to make, and I raised the alarm, so to speak. But I have found out
quite a few of the papers did it as well.
Yeah. Sorry?
Quite a few of the papers did it as well.
But I was the first to spot it.
Were you? Okay.
Indeed. But no, as a result of which I keep in touch with the art world. Now, did you know that following on from that sort of Tate exhibition, there is now, in fact, a sale coming up of Impressionist and modern art in London next week.
Yes.
And
What, you mean original stuff?
Original stuff, yeah. And that's another painting by Picasso called Femme Nua Assise by Picasso, which looks like a complete load of rubbish.
Does it?
I mean,
can you show me an illustration? I don't know.
I'll show you an illustration, but I would like you to source this picture on a, on some sort of Moby or something like that. And put it
Moby?
out because it looks like a 4-year-old child has got hold of a couple of paintbrushes
I've seen this before.
and attacked a canvas. And do you know how much that painting is expected to go for?
Probably about 50 million, right?
£12.5 million.
Okay, it must be not that big then.
£12.5 million.
It's a Picasso. You know, it's an original Picasso.
But I mean, I'm telling you, I could paint something better than that.
Well, why don't you try?
Well, we've done this before in the studio. You've asked me to do
No,
like
I don't mean a little drawing in the studio.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
when you get home, you buy some paint.
No,
You buy some paper.
I haven't got time.
Of course you've got time.
I haven't got time.
You've got loads of time.
I haven't got time
You've
for
got
this.
all day off tomorrow. We're not working until Friday.
No, you're absolutely wrong. We haven't got all. You might have all day for tomorrow. I haven't.
Well, what are you doing?
I've got very important things to do.
Why, what?
Well, I mean,
Well.
I don't want to go on about it because it's
You're
all.
getting in your mate's Mercedes and taking a trip down to Cornwall to
No.
look at your investments.
No, not at all. I'm launching,
Are
of
you going
course.
drinking at any point?
I'm launching my new range of Porky Pork scratchings.
Well,
and
you're not doing that until a couple of weeks from now, are you?
hang on, the big launch party is 2 weeks on Friday
Yeah.
in Wigan.
So what are you doing tomorrow?
What am I doing tomorrow?
Yeah.
I've got to whip up worldwide interest in this fantastic new product and organise the launch party, the distribution, the
Well, what's
sale.
the company doing?
Hey?
What's the company doing?
Well,
You're not going to give them any credit for manufacturing it.
Of course I am, but I advise all the way through, don't I? You
Really?
know, that's what I do. Yeah.
So when you become a best-selling Porky scratching,
Yes.
you're going to have to give some money back to these guys. They're not going to give you all the money for it, are they?
Well, no, it's a concessionary deal as ever. You know,
Yeah.
if they use my image and all that kind
Yeah,
of
but
stuff.
they're making the stuff.
Yeah, of course.
They're organising the party.
Sorry, what do you think I'm doing? Do you think I've got a secret?
Well, I don't know. So by the sounds of it, you're running the whole company.
Got a secret room at home where I
Well, you have got a
manufacture
secret
a
room
few
at home.
thousand,
Well, you have got a secret
a few
room at home.
thousand bags of pork
Well, I
scratchings
don't
when I've
know.
got nothing better to do.
Well,
You're mad.
Well, you just told me you're going to spend all day organising
I
everything
am.
as if
I
nobody
am.
else is involved.
Well, of course, other people involved, but it's teamwork, you know,
I see.
and in teams.
Teamwork. You love all that,
In
don't you?
teams,
You love a
normally.
bit of teamwork.
I normally lead from the front when it comes
You're
to
not.
teamwork. and all
You're
that.
incapable of being involved in teamwork. You
No,
only
no.
do things on your own.
No, not at all. So I wouldn't waste my time
Well,
trying
if
to
you're saying to me that-
impersonate a Picasso painting.
Right, well, but you've also talked about how you think Picasso's rubbish plenty of times
Yeah,
as well. So
I
where are
do.
we going with this?
Sorry, what do you mean?
Well, I mean, where are we going with it?
I
If you
just
don't want to try and do a painting to
Yeah.
see what it would look like.
Yeah.
I mean, a proper one rather
Yeah.
than just one you scribble out, which actually last time was pretty good.
yes.
Why are you telling me that this latest Picasso painting is rubbish as well?
Because I want to know what is the mentality of anybody who's got £12.5 million to waste on a load of rubbish.
Well, it's an investment.
Just because it's
if
got
you
the
don't-
word
all right.
Picasso written on the
Well, if
bottom
you-
right
Well,
of
if
it.
you don't understand the art side of it, you at least must understand the
No, I
investment side of it.
understand. I understand.
Well, then you must understand the investment side of it.
No, can I tell you what's going to happen?
What?
One of these days, right, I can tell you what's going to happen,
Yeah.
and it's already happening to some so-called modern artists. You know,
No,
modern
you're talking
artists.
about something you know nothing about.
No, let me tell you, I do know about
No, you
these
don't.
things. Some quote modern artists who've produced things which are in art, galleries, right?
Galleries.
Which are very strange things, you know, maybe, I don't want to get too personal, I don't want to identify anybody, but I mean, things that you wouldn't normally describe as art in any other decade except this one. So animals
Like what,
cut in
for
half
example?
and all this kind of stuff,
What are you
okay?
talking about Damien Hirst?
I'm not mentioning that, I'm
Damien
not
Hirst
naming
stuff
names.
is still worth a fortune.
Now, let me just tell you this. Let me
Damien
tell you
Hirst
this.
stuff has not gone down in value.
One of these days, and it will happen, you know, maybe in our lifetime, maybe not.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to turn around, look at all the Picassos and say, do you know what? This is the biggest contrict that's ever been
No, it's never gonna
inflicted
happen.
upon the
No,
artistic
That
world.
is probably the worst
This
prediction
is
you've
just
ever made.
a load of rubbish.
You have made so many bad predictions in your life. That is the worst one ever.
Right, I can tell you this. Van Gogh paintings are brilliant because
Why?
a bowl of irises is a bowl of irises,
Why?
okay? What?
Why are they brilliant?
Because they are real life. You can see what they are. They're actual things. John
So don't you
Constable's...
think that art can actually be somebody's vision of what real life is?
John Constable's paintings will forever be worth a fortune and brilliant because they reflected the English countryside at a time when it was at its best, okay? and it reflected
Well, that's
it
in your own personal
intrinsically.
view. There's a reason why every
Picasso
artist...
paintings are
would
just
you
a
let me
load of
speak?
rubbish.
Well, that's in your opinion, but unfortunately, there are plenty of people who, one, do not agree with that, and who, two...
I don't care if they agree. I know what I'm talking about.
Well, you don't know what you're talking about. You're making yourself sound like a complete idiot, actually.
No,
because,
I don't.
Quite frankly, these things are not only pieces of art, they are investments. And the reason that the price keeps going up is because there are always people who will be willing to pay more money for an original Picasso or an original Van Gogh or an original Modigliani or an original Degas, because they love the idea that it's an original painting, and whether they actually appreciate the painting or not is secondary to the fact that it's worth an awful lot of money.
But the point I've just made to you is, one of these days, the art world are going to turn around, shake their head and say, why did we pay £50 million for these paintings?
That will never happen.
They are actually,
never happen.
To me, they're a joke.
You're a Philistine if you don't think that any of Picasso's paintings are any good, and I don't know why you keep bringing it up.
Because a painting should be a replication of something that you can see with your eyes. You can't see the sort of rubbish.
Who died and made you the boss of painting?
What?
Who died and made you the boss of painting?
No, don't be silly. I mean, I'm telling you, and I would love some response. I'm telling you.
Well, if you want other people to give you their response,
I want some response,
you will get
please.
the same response you always get. You will get the Philistines out there who agree with you, saying, yeah, you're absolutely right, Porky. I don't like Picasso either.
That's right.
And you'll get the other people who have got a bit more sort of, imagination, saying, I don't know why Porky's always giving Picasso such a hard time.
That's
what you'll get.
Here's one from Frank in Nottingham.
Yes.
He says, Nottingham is a real place, by the way, highlighted, of course, by Ken Dodd.
Ken Dodd,
yeah,
who's also a real person.
Yeah. Hi, two mics. Porky, your criticism of Picasso seems to parody your claim to fame with pork scratchings. Anyone can sell pork scratchings. No, I don't agree. Anybody can sell some pork scratchings, but mine are the Mike Porky Parry pork scratchings.
Well, we will see whether or not they sell.
Yeah, of course,
because we don't know whether they will. We should hope so that they will, but you never know. How about this from Ian?
Big launch party.
Will Porky's pork scratchings be like him? Fat, tasteless, and make you feel bilious.
That's very
that's not a very good start, to be honest. Anyway, keep your views of Picasso coming in. The art critic here in residence, Mr. Parry, is going to carry on moaning and groaning about Picasso. I don't know what he's got against him. This is TalkSport. Now, as ever, there's always plenty of planks out there, right? But I may have found the plank of the week, and this is John from Warrington, okay?
Yes.
This is what he says, Ray, our conversation earlier about whether or not you should be a socialist or a Tory when you're in your 20s, right?
Yes.
I've never been a Tory, and I never will be. Even if I was to become a millionaire one day, it wouldn't persuade me to be one. Why would anyone want to be a stuck-up snob that cares about nobody but themselves? Now, there's a guy who thinks, John from Warrington, that every Tory is a stuck-up snob who thinks of nobody but themselves.
Well, I don't know why you think that, John, because look, I am completely apolitical. I think all politicians are mostly in it for themselves. If somebody knocks on my door and says, vote for me and I'll make your life better, I'll say, no, you won't, mate. If I vote for you, I make your life better because you get £200,000 a year in expenses and fees from the House of Commons. Have you seen the way the House of Lords, by the way, just turn up every day, a lot of them, and they sign on for 350 quid.
And then leave again.
They leave again. No, I can't.
They were trying to put a stop to that some years ago.
Well, they haven't. And it's the biggest cesspit in modern life, actually, the den of iniquity, which is politics in this country, particularly at the highest level. So I don't have any political allegiance. I'm not a member of a political party. I haven't voted for about the past four elections. What I want is to be left alone to get on with things and have politicians interfere. For instance...
Do you think you're a bit of a libertarian, then?
Well, I might be, but I don't like paying heavy taxes because politicians waste the money.
Well, that's a libertarian point of view.
Yeah, that's a... Now, listen,
you like small government, which is a libertarian point of view.
I like small government, yeah. So listen to this. Sharp increases in stamp duty on expensive homes.
You're still going on about stamp duty.
Well, don't keep going on about my properties. This is very expensive homes, OK? It's not the sort of homes that I own. Sharp increases in stamp duty on expensive homes are estimated to be costing the Treasury £500 million a year. Increases to the tax in 2014, brought in by George Osborne, a Tory Treasurer, a Tory Chancellor, right, and they're supposed to cut taxes. Increase to the tax in 2014 and last year led to a fall in the number of top-end properties being sold and a massive decline in income for the Exchequer, according to Paul Nash, a partner at PwC, which is Pricewaterhouse something or other, isn't
Coopers.
it? Coopers, that's
Yes.
right, yeah, thank you. And it just shows that politicians...
It used to be Coopers and Lybrand.
It did actually, yeah. It just shows that politicians don't get it. If you raise taxes, inevitably you lower the take.
Yes.
That's happened throughout history.
Well, up to a point. It depends on precisely which tax and precisely which people you're actually targeting.
Yeah.
For example, VAT has not gone down since they put it on a load of different things that people need to buy.
Yeah.
But I just think that people like John, who have this ridiculous kind of tribal attitude,
That's right,
whether
yeah.
it's from the Tory side or the Labour side,
Yeah.
that everybody on the other side is somehow a bad person.
Yeah.
Like the way we now have these rows about Trump. You know, there's all kinds of rallies going on.
That's right.
You know, if you like Trump, you must be a horrible, ghastly individual.
That's right.
If you want to give him a chance, you must be a horrible, ghastly individual. And in fact, if you are on the opposite side of Trump, you must be some kind of mad, screaming,
That's right.
transgender lefty. That's not the case. The point is, John, that doesn't help the general populace. It doesn't help the general debate. And to make out that you think everyone who votes Tory is a stuck-up snob who doesn't want to help anyone, well, it's just idiotic.
Have you
really.
never seen a group of, sort of highfalutin Labour politicians living in their £2 and £3 million houses in North London and Notting Hill, and the snobbishness that they have towards the people who vote them into power,
And very
working class
self-satisfied.
people in the north of England?
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, it's an appalling regime politics
our
in
good
this
friend
country.
Carl Turner, the plank, the Hull
that's
MP.
right, from Hull, yeah.
So he got himself into a row with Piers Morgan the other day.
That's right.
And told more kind of untruths about how he got an apology from ITV about it, which of course he didn't get. In the same way that he promised to send us the letter that he got from the Parliamentary
Exonerating
Authorities, exonerating him for what he said were misleading expenses claims.
From manipulating his
We're
expenses.
still
for want of
waiting,
a better
Carl.
word,
Send it in any time you like, matey.
We certainly are.
Absolute plank. Now, Nick says this. The reason Mike Parry's so down on Picasso, I think he once dated a woman with two eyes on one side of her head.
Hey, that's a bit harsh, isn't it?
And Westrin
talk
says
about women like that.
What Porky knows about art, music, food, wine and fashion could be written on something of belonging to a fly, which I'm not going to repeat because it's a family show.
I don't agree. By the way, I mean, later on we'll be doing Porkyvision in this show. But there's
and filming it.
And filming it, yeah. But there's a show coming up, actually, which was on... when was it on? It was on...
What sort of show?
Well, it hasn't been seen yet, but it's on tonight, Thursday night, isn't it? Right, it's on Thursday night. And it's... I mean,
what show are you talking about?
Well, I'm going to tell you now.
No, you haven't told me yet.
No, because I've had some preview access to this show, right? And it's about Madame Tussauds.
Tussauds?
Yeah.
Two swords, I always said.
Two swords, I think it's probably more correct. So it's about Madame Tussauds, right? She was a French woman who came to this country because she was hounded out of France because of the French Revolution.
Right.
But do you know what her first job in life was?
No. A waxwork dummy. Or a mannequin, I was going to say, a dummy.
No, I tell you what it was.
Go on.
Because she wanted to stay on the right side of those who were about to come into power in the French Revolution, she accepted a job to go around picking up the heads of people who'd been guillotined.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
And they have a basket for that.
That's a bit of a myth. They just used to fall on the floor.
Oh, really?
So her job was to go and pick them up and then put them under her arm and take them, to home to a workshop and then make a death mask of them and then make a model of them so that then they could be positioned around Paris as the evil people that we had to get rid of. You see what I mean?
So she actually made the sort of the mask.
Yes, that's right.
Because in this country, when people were sort of beheaded, they'd stick the head on a spike, wouldn't they?
Well, that's right. And then the Ravens would get them. Ravens from the Tower of London. Wasn't very pleasant indeed.
No, very unfortunate.
But that was her first job, and that's how she became a model maker.
Oh, I see.
By being told to do this. She didn't have any skills to do it there. And, of course, what it meant was that, France was in such turmoil, she couldn't, the French economy was smashed to pieces, even though it was 1802.
Had she formerly been sort of more of an aristocratic type person then?
Not really, no. She's a sort of working class woman, but hoped to marry well. So she married a bloke called Tussauds, but he was a deadbeat.
Was he?
So she sort of took up his name and then came, he was an engineer.
So she scarpered to London?
Scarpered to London, and to start off with, she had a touring show. with all these models that she'd made, you know, and she would then make models of famous people in this country who loved to see their own images. They were narcissists, you know what I mean? Like staring at themselves in the halls of their great homes.
Yeah.
And then set up very close to where...
People with a lot of mirrors, I guess.
People with a lot of mirrors, that's right. Set up where she is now. And, of course, she then had first-hand knowledge of how to start the first Chamber of Horrors because she saw it all going on in France, during the Revolution.
Yeah. It's funny, I've only ever been to Madame Tussauds once, right? And I may have told you this story, but I went as quite a young kid, about 6 or 7.
Yeah.
And I remember being quite frightened going in because it was so hot.
Oh.
And not so much because of the waxworks, but just because there were so many people and I was quite small.
Right.
And some guy fainted.
Right.
And that's my abiding memory.
Really?
Of Madame Tussauds, yeah. And quite often it's been suggested that we take the kids up there.
Yeah.
But I don't know, there's something about, I mean, I don't mind the odd waxwork, but it doesn't really...
Doesn't do anything for me.
Sort of particularly thrill me.
I've
to
never
go
been
and
there.
see. Have you not? No.
No, I'm not sure they ever look anything like they're supposed to look, you know what I mean?
Well, do you remember the Museum of Football that we talked about and those
Yes.
waxworks that you had done?
Actually, they were very good.
No, they
were very
weren't.
good. Peter
No,
Schmeichel,
I saw them.
Peter
They
Schmeichel.
were not very
he
good.
Was,
They were
he was
awful.
good. Les Ferdinand.
They were terrible.
Les Ferdinand.
They weren't good. Whatever happened to them, by the way?
I've no idea. Somebody
think
would have
it's somebody's
carted them
house?
away. Sorry?
Do you think they
No, they would have gone back to a workshop, I would imagine. But
Actually, I would have thought, bizarrely, since you're so keen on having statues built for yourself,
yes.
I'm surprised you haven't had one made.
Well, I
Like a
keep
waxwork,
thinking
like
about
a
it. I keep thinking about
life-size
it.
waxwork of yourself.
I keep thinking about it. You know, it's. I was thinking more of a sort of bronze cast statue.
Yeah, but it might be cheaper to get a waxwork.
It might be. You might be absolutely right.
And you could stand it behind the window, and people might think there was somebody at home.
Well, yeah,
to stop you from being robbed.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know,
it's not a bad idea.
Use a mannequin for that, couldn't you? Did you? What I didn't realise is I thought there was only like one Madame Tussauds and perhaps like one in America, but there's 20 around the world.
Oh, really?
6 in the US, and others in Beijing, Tokyo, and Sydney, which I didn't know about.
I didn't know that
But
either.
no, I agree with you. I'm not a great fan of waxworks because I think they're a bit pointless, really.
Yeah.
You know, in the sense I'm not supposed what they're supposed to do for you. You know, they don't represent.
Well, I suppose the original attraction
Yeah.
was that you would go there when you didn't see famous people quite so much as you do now.
It's a good point.
Before
Before
age of
television. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so you could see how big
Good
they
point,
actually
yeah.
were.
Yeah, I
You could
agree.
compare their bodily size to your own.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
By the way, talking about, you know, bodily forms and all that kind of stuff, the latest tattoos, so I would be, you know, really on the number here, so to speak.
Yes.
Latest tattoos people are having is they're going in for 4 and 5 at a time to have an array of freckles put on their faces.
Oh, I saw a story about that, yeah.
But, I mean, how mad is that?
I know. Well, some people like yourself probably spent years trying to get rid of them.
freckles.
Yeah.
Look, I've still got freckles on my arms.
You have
see?
got very freckly arms.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. And when the sun shines, that's why I don't like going out in the sun. They get
more freckly across
more
your
freckly,
nose and all
yeah,
that.
and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
you know,
I used
so
to have
keep it on the
quite
sun.
a freckly skin when I was younger.
Why on earth would people want freckles on their face? I just don't get that.
Well, why on earth would somebody want to put something on their face that they could not remove?
Well, I totally agree.
Other than with a laser. It seems a bit odd.
I totally agree. I mean, there might be a bit of revelatory stuff about taboo in the Porkyvision tonight.
Well, do you know, I
And
thought
one
I
of the
might
strangest-
ask
yeah, go
Rebecca
on.
Rydell about taboo. Because
That's a good idea.
I don't know whether she knows about that period of history.
Well,
or whether she could tell
taboo
us
was a
about
bit later than 1660.
Yes, no, I know that. But
Yes.
I mean, she's an historian, so I assume
is,
she
yeah.
doesn't just study one particular period of
Yeah,
history.
yeah.
And I thought I might ask her whether that's in any way accurate.
But what I was going to say was almost everybody in Taboo, you know, villains, good guys, and they had the most remarkable, like, spiderweb type tattoos on their faces, which I imagine were irremovable because
Yeah.
they'd have been made from, like, dye of, you know,
Well,
from clothes factories
Well,
and all
I mean,
that kind of stuff.
You know, the Maori face tattoo thing. I mean, you
Yeah.
still see that today.
You do.
And it went on probably throughout the ages. But I'm not sure how we got onto that subject.
No, well, it's because I was talking about the tattoos.
All right. Squirrel says this: art is understood to be subjective, except for Porky.
Have you put out a picture yet of the Picasso painting that's going to be sold for £12.5 million?
No, because I haven't had a chance to look for it.
Well, I would like you to, please, because
Okay.
it will help me prove my point. I sometimes think that you're obstructive when I ask you to do those sort of things because you don't wish the audience to actually endorse the view that I've taken. You suspect they will.
Gordo says this: Porky, you are a wee dictator with no imagination, but I still love you.
Well, that's very kind. Thank you very much
There's
indeed.
nothing like being damned with faint praise.
Yeah.
Glenn says if Porky could afford a Picasso, he
Yes.
would be all over it and buy it to show off to everyone, saying how good he is.
I think not. I mean, it's John Cleese. You know, we keep going on about John Cleese. Now, he's become a very irritable and somewhat boring old man.
Well, he's quite active on Twitter, funnily enough. He gets into quite a few spats with people.
Have you seen his latest advert?
I have.
I can't believe it. And it's a full page in most national newspapers.
For one of these law
this
firms.
week. It's one of these sort of ambulance chasers, for want of a better word. The PPI scandal, have you ever checked out whether you're owed money on PPI? Neither have I.
Well, funny enough, a long time ago, when I had a sort of personal banker,
yes.
I had a conversation with this woman, and I said, obviously, I'm assuming that I don't have any of this. I said, would you mind checking it for me?
Yeah.
And she said, no, you don't. But of course, I took her word for it. I mean, I could be wrong. I don't know.
Well, it says here, there's a picture of John Cleese looking completely eccentric, if not mad. I mean, that seems to be the whole point of the advert.
I suppose that's the reason.
I think it's a bit sad that a man who's, one of the great comedic talents of his age, and it says, billions are still owed to millions. The PPI scandal sounds crazy, but it's true. We fight any claim and all this kind of stuff. I mean, I really don't know why John Cleese thinks that will in any way...
But he said himself he needs the money. That's
contribute to his enduring and endearing reputation as a man who was a genius of the comedic.
Why doesn't he just bring out a line of Porky scratchings?
Why doesn't he just do something funny?
Yeah, all right. This is Talk Sport.
I am the god of hellfire, and I bring you fire. I'll take you to burn. Fire. I'll take you to learn. I'll see you burn.
Oh, here's a book inside.
Very nice.
Let's have a look here. It's not my book either.
No.
It's 1666, Plague, War and Hellfire by Rebecca Ridial. Yeah, and that's it. That's not terribly interesting, actually.
Now, that book was opened by Postman Pork just 2 nights ago, right?
It was a terrific book.
Yeah, you've read it since then, obviously.
Oh, I have. I've taken it home and had
so you can say you've changed your view.
Oh, very much so, yeah. That was just an instant decision.
Happily, the author of the book, Rebecca, got in touch with us a couple of days after you'd given her a terrible going over on the radio. And she's now here with us. Rebecca, a very good morning to you.
Hello, good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us and for not being put off by the rather Philistine type of approach of Mr. Parry, my broadcasting partner.
Oh, no, Rebecca, I have to apologise. You've got to remember we have to whip through about 30 or 40 letters in the space of about 10 or 15 minutes, and all I said was that, look, I've got to open these other letters. I wasn't being dismissive at all. First question, Rebecca, is I see that the picture taken of you in one of the publicity shots is by Sam Ridial. Is that your husband?
It is, yeah. It is.
Is it not Rydal?
Is it Rydal?
It's neither, actually. It's Radial, but that's
Radial.
Hang on, let me write that down.
Why are you asking a distinguished author and historian about the picture on her publicity material?
Well, I just wonder whether you and your husband are a team, or is it all your book?
It's all my book.
It's all your book, OK. Yeah. Now,
do you mind if I ask a question?
Please do.
Because you dominated the last interview.
Please do.
People got very pissed off about it, actually.
Excuse me, family show.
Yeah, it is a family show. We're allowed to say that.
Yeah, go on.
So, Rebecca, you claimed a bit earlier on Twitter that you called the book as a sort of subtext 50 Shades of Plague, which I thought was quite funny.
Yeah, I might have been overplaying my hand a little bit. It's because it's about the court of Charles II as well, who I'm sure you're aware was one of the most licentious monarchs that we've had, to put it mildly. So while plague was at its height during the summer of 1665, the court of Charles II fled to Oxford, and there they had all kinds of fun and games. There was lots of affairs going on, mistresses and all that kind of thing. So, 50 Shades of Plague rather than 50 Shades of Grey.
Did you come to the conclusion that either the plague or the Great Fire of London was a good thing because it sort of cleansed the earth?
No, not really. I think there's a theory that perhaps the Great Fire of London got rid of the plague because obviously this theory rests on the idea that plague was spread by rats that were infesting the city at the time. And then when the Great Fire came along, it kind of wiped out this dirty old city so that a new clean city could emerge from the ashes. But actually, cases of plague were dying down throughout the year 1666 anyway, and that wouldn't necessarily explain why plague died off in other cities around the country. So it's still a mystery as to why plague vanished, but it wasn't. I don't think it was so clear cut as the Great Fire wiping plague out directly.
And when you chose this particular year, I mean, is it a particularly tumultuous year? I mean, it's a great sounding year, is it, 1666? But, I mean, what if you decided to do 1665 instead, or 1667? Presumably it wouldn't have been quite as interesting.
Well, those years were actually, because 1665 was the year of the plague, and then 1667 was the year that something that we've forgotten because we lost. But there was a raid on the Medway by the Dutch, and they managed to steal lots of the most important Navy ships at the time.
They stole the ships, because Porky's got a theory that actually it was Dutch spies that started the fire in London.
Yeah, I mean, we were at war with the Dutch to all intents and purposes. We were certainly battling with the Dutch for world trade at the time, weren't we?
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, at the time, people did blame the Dutch straight away.
Yeah.
I mean, now we know that on the monument that was erected after the Great Fire of London, it was blamed on the Catholics, and also during the time, there were whispers and rumours that the French might have been behind it. But actually, when it initially broke out, the Great Fire, it was the Dutch that were blamed because we were at war with the Dutch at that time.
Yes.
And it was quite a vicious war as well.
It certainly was. Just talking about the Great Fire for a minute, Rebecca. I mean, the Great Fire of London, it obviously happened because all the buildings were made of wood, and after they all burnt down, we rebuilt them in stone, so that was one good thing. But secondly, I'm told from what I've read about it, there were 3 or 4 fires a week in Pudding Lane where it all started. But on this particular night when the Great Fire of London took, caught on and spread, there was a tumultuous wind which whipped up the River Thames and just caught the flames, and it was a bit of a rare phenomenon.
Are you telling you or asking you?
No, I'm asking.
Oh, right.
Yeah, no, you're right. There was loads of things going on at this time. There were fires. Fires broke out really regularly in London because it was a city made of wood, but it happened all across. These types of fires happened all across the country. And yeah, you're absolutely right. There was a really strange but forceful wind coming from the east, and it blew the fire westward across the city. But also, there hadn't been much rain that summer, so all of the wood within the buildings it was very dry anyway.
Dry.
So it's kind of exactly. Yeah. So it was kind of a recipe for disaster when this fire broke out. But then also the usual method of getting rid of a fire at this time was to pull down houses around.
Like a fire break.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that wasn't done because the mayor didn't want to do that. Any fines as a result of that would have been levelled directly at him, so he didn't do what perhaps he should have done.
That's right, fine.
And why is it that it's so fascinating even now still? Because we get TV dramas based on
there was a big drama last year on it.
Yeah, there was one last year which wasn't particularly brilliant, I didn't think.
Oh,
we were
good.
talking earlier about Taboo, which I know is not set in the same kind of time, but people are kind of drawn to these rather medieval, well, it seems medieval to us anyway, ways of life when people's, sort of existences were pretty paltry and pretty filthy and pretty ghastly. I mean, why is it, do you think, that we're so fascinated by all this stuff?
Oh, gosh. I don't know. I think stories like the Great Fire of London, they've been passed down, and they've kind of morphed into legends, and they're part of our psyche in a way. And also, it's just a great story that something so small and seemingly inconsequential could have an extraordinary impact. Why we're drawn to things like this in TV and TV dramas, I guess it's the same reason we're drawn to anything that's that seems worse than the life that we live today, even like reality TV. It's to kind of look at it and think, oh wow,
Yeah, but the funny thing is, Mr. Parry and I were talking about this earlier. I mean, watching Taboo, I don't know about you, Mike, but you always think that place must have smelled awful.
Well, he's always walking around in mud, in Wapping. That's all he seems to do.
Yeah, but you can't imagine. Well, I mean, even if you're watching Big Brother or something, you imagine it doesn't smell that bad. But looking at Taboo, you think that just must have been disgraceful.
Yeah. Well, there's loads of stories about people that were. I mean, this is obviously a century before, I think.
Yes.
I'm not sure when Taboo set. I think it's the end of the 18th century.
Yeah.
But
yes.
there's loads of stories of people. There was one Quaker, actually, and he had all these grand ambitions, like somebody fresh from university type scenario of going to London, making his way in the world, and he got to London and the stink of the city.
Yes.
He just couldn't hack it. He was working for John Milton for a while, and he had to leave the city because it just smelled so bad.
I know, it's terrible. People throwing their rubbish out of the windows onto people below and all that kind of stuff. Now, Rebecca, if I can just turn to yourself, please. You've got very interesting history. You're from Chester, yes?
Yeah, I am.
So am I.
You?
Yeah, I came from Hoole in Chester. Where did you come from?
The same place.
Hoole?
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Oh,
Me.
I was born just off Canadian Avenue.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's near. But that's near to where I went to school, actually.
Oh, really? What, the Clare Avenue?
No, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then around the corner, St James's as well.
Yes, that's right, absolutely.
Well, Porky
And-
famously went to the King's School, Chester. Never
Yes.
stopped telling us about it.
yeah, so I was just going to ask whether you were a Queen School girl.
Oh, God, no, I'm not as posh as that. I went to Kingsway High School.
Kingsway. Oh, yeah, I know where I was. Yeah, oh, that's great. Oh,
Isn't
well,
that where you said all
you've
the
done
kind
extremely
of
well.
the scummy people?
No, I
That's
never
what you
said.
said
No,
once.
I
I'm sure
didn't.
it's what you said.
No, I didn't. I didn't. I said it was one of the first comprehensives. That's all I said.
I see.
But I mean, there were good people who
You
went there.
said
But
you didn't like to go out with the girls from that school.
no, I
It's
never
thick.
said that. I never said that. But the thing is, Rebecca, you've done extremely well in your studies. You're a top academic now, PhD, and
She's studying for a PhD, I think.
are you?
Yeah.
Are you still studying for one? Okay.
Studying for it, yeah. I don't want to make false claims like some people
Okay.
do.
And have you had success with your other books?
I've only written one, so
Oh,
hopefully...
is this the first one?
Yeah, this is the first one.
Oh, okay.
So who knows?
Yeah, well, listen, we wish you the very best of success with it. It's a terrific book. I managed to get home and leaf through it, and read passages and all that. It's incredibly interesting in the detail that you've acquired, so I want to congratulate you on a fantastic tome.
Oh, thank you very much. That's very kind.
It's an absolute pleasure.
So what did you do with the boring one that you didn't like?
No, don't be ridiculous. I didn't have time to read it tonight, did I? I thought it was great.
And have you got any TV projects coming up, Rebecca?
Not at the moment. Just doing lots of work for the PhD right now.
Okay.
Getting back into that.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
that's
And
great.
as usual, it's on sale in all good bookshops and Amazon and all the rest of it, right?
Oh, yes, it is. Yeah, I should say that. Yeah.
You should
everywhere
say
you
that.
can
Yeah.
get it.
You have to
Yeah.
practice that for
And
the next
it's
one.
good.
Excellent.
Yeah. Yes, I should.
It's good. Well, thank
Yeah,
you very much
of course it is.
for
Thank
talking
you very
to us
much
so late
indeed.
into the night, and good luck with all the sales of it.
Indeed.
Rebecca Rideal, I think she said it. was,
Rideal.
wasn't it? But you and I both mispronounced it.
Yes.
But very interesting book, very interesting woman.
Indeed.
It is called 16. I keep wanting to say 1966.
Yeah.
1666, Plague, War, and Hellfire.
Yes, that's right.
This is Talk Sport.
In
Sorry.
the book, by the way,
Yeah.
there's a picture here of a brothel ablaze during the Great Fire of London.
Yeah.
And the people inside the brothel fleeing from the flames. Probably didn't have any clothes on.
Probably not, no. You get burned in some very interesting places.
Yeah.
This is Talk Sport.
People are strange when you're a stranger. Faces look ugly when you're alone. Women seem wicked when you're unwanted. Streets are uneven when you're down, when you're strange. Faces come out.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics, and of course, Porkyvision is coming up in a little while. There will
Yep.
not be a Porky quiz tomorrow night because we are not on tomorrow night.
That's right.
Instead, we are on Friday from 10 a.m. till 1.
That's right.
So the Porky quiz will appear there.
And it'll be on the League Cup
It certainly will be.
in its various guises over the years, of course.
Quite.
Now, I'll tell you what I want to tell you. We just did that book review, okay,
Yeah.
with the lovely lady, Rebecca Rideal.
Yes.
And thank you very much indeed to her for coming on. And it is fascinating. The history of this country has always fascinated me. That's why I studied it at A-level.
Did you?
And did extremely well, of
What
course.
grade did you get?
I think in that I got a B.
A B?
A B, yeah.
That's
yeah.
quite good, isn't it?
It's quite good.
That's around about 65%.
That's pretty good, I have to say.
Yeah.
Now, what I was going to say to you was, I've come across an absolute historical conundrum. Because, I also have an abiding interest in the development of America as well.
Yes.
And in particular, the tribes of the Native Americans.
I see.
How many times have I said to you that the greatest... what's the word I'm looking for? Act of genocide in the whole of history was when white men arrived in America and literally wiped out the Native Americans.
Well, they didn't wipe them out, did they?
Well, they put them on reservations.
Yeah.
They might as well have wiped them
Yeah,
out.
but they haven't wiped them out, so it's not really.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
yes,
they
there
stole
was,
all their land.
They did, and it was a terrible crime.
Yeah, yeah.
But I don't think you could argue that it was the greatest genocide in history.
Anyway, what I was going to say is, we've all seen Cowboys and Indian films, right?
We have.
And we've all seen, in particular, Dancing with Wolves.
Yes, you talk about that a lot. In fact, did somebody not send us a copy of it the other day?
I think they did.
What happened to that?
We have it in our store. Yes, we do.
What do you mean we have it in our store?
You and I have it. We have the two.
You
mics.
and I have a store?
Yeah, the Two Mics store room. Yes, it's in there.
We have a store room?
We have a store room.
Where is it?
It's behind Loren's desk. Okay? Yeah, it's there.
Okay.
Now, has this ever occurred to you?
What?
That book, 1666, has drawings of people running around with fire hoses and all that kind of stuff and taking stuff out of the city and basically, carting bodies around in carts with wheels, right?
Yes.
Now, also, we've seen Robin Hood that goes back 200 or 300 years riding around.
When you say we've seen Robin Hood, do you mean the film?
Yeah, we've seen the film and we've seen the TV show, Robin Hood.
Yeah, but don't put too much, sort of historical accuracy on a TV show.
But nevertheless, we know that Robin Hood's mob had wheels, and the Sheriff of Nottingham certainly had a carriage with wheels, okay?
Well, we don't know that for sure.
If we go back to we're pretty sure. We go back to Boadicea.
She certainly had a chariot.
Right, and what does a chariot have? It has wheels.
It does.
Why did the Native Americans not use wheels? They were unaware of the invention of the wheel.
Well, maybe they just didn't need to use them.
Of course they needed to use them.
No, because they were a nomadic type people, so they didn't take stuff with them. Whereas when the white man came to North America, they realised that they needed wagons to cart all their stuff.
No.
Whereas the people who were Native Americans lived off the land. That was the whole point. So they would take with them very, very little, and they would live off the land that they were living on, and then they would move on.
I totally agree. But the second wave of Native Indians, the first wave of Native Indians goes way back to when Asia and Alaska were joined together, okay? But the second wave was in the sort of, really, the sort of Middle Ages, I suppose.
Yeah.
And they arrived there, and they were nomadic, you're absolutely right. And in fact, the reason why the Indian Wars started was because the nomadic Indians that I'm talking about, all the tribes like the Sioux and the Apache and all that, did not believe in ownership of land or possessions.
And that was why they were so horrified when they were all huddled into an area and told, you must now stay here. And this is not what they did.
This is why they just went out in the plains and just shot all the bison, or what they call the buffalo and the bison and all that. Because they said, well, they're roaming the land, we take them for food.
Right.
They knocked trees down and built nomadic tepees.
Because they didn't believe that you could own the land, because they believed that the land owned itself, if you know what I mean.
They didn't think you should own the land, they didn't think you should own a house, they didn't think you should own animals, they didn't think you should own food.
Right.
You were completely nomadic. However...
So they had no need for wheels, really.
Yeah, but they did, because their basic nomadic principle is that your life's possessions are those that you can carry, and that's it, okay? But, of course, they had horses because they just went and got wild horses, tamed them, and then they put a few bags on a horse.
Yeah.
But occasionally you will have seen where, if some Apache brave or was hurt in battle, or an Apache...
Are you talking about scene in a television film? Or...
No, I'm talking about it actually happening. Or an Apache squaw suddenly had just given birth and couldn't walk and needed to be carried on a stretcher.
Yeah.
The stretchers that the Native Americans had were just two long poles with skin stretched between them, which they dragged around behind their horses.
Right.
Now, weren't they bright enough to work out that if you put wheels on the end of those two poles, it would have been an awful lot easier for those horses to pull you around?
Well, maybe not necessarily, because
why not?
Don't forget...
Why not? They weren't stupid,
No, I know, but the point is...
They worked out how to talk to birds and all that kind of stuff.
Well, the point is they weren't able to construct tyres, for example.
Yeah.
So if you had a wagon with wooden wheels driving over something like the desert, it's actually very uncomfortable. And you might actually be more comfortable lying on a bed of which is sloped, which is pointing down, and with the two bits of wood dragging it across the. Have you ever been in an uncomfortable car?
Oh, have you ever been in the back of a 13-year-old black cab taxi where the springs have all gone and it basically breaks your spine every time it goes over a bump?
Well, imagine going over in a vehicle like that with no tyres over a rocky desert.
Yeah, but hang on.
You'd actually be, you'd be more jangled around than you would be if you were just sitting on the back of a horse.
Yeah, but remember, the Native Americans, the Indians as we called them in those days, spent most of their time attacking the wagon trains, okay?
Well, they didn't until the wagon trains started turning up.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean.
They spent most of the time actually living rather peacefully.
Yeah, okay, I agree. But then when they attacked the wagon trains...
When they were attacking each other.
Yeah, that's right. The wagon train would circle round. That's why they would always say,
you given a
circle
lot
the
of thought to
wagons.
this?
Yeah, I have, yeah.
Why?
Circle the wagons.
Why have you
okay?
given a lot of thought to this?
Because it struck me as a student of history that the one thing the Native Americans never cottoned onto was the wheel.
But
they didn't even know the wheel had been invented.
But are you certain of that?
Well, listen, what I'm saying is this. If the wagon train circled and then the Apaches attacked it and then, actually, I'm afraid, had to massacre all the people who were on the wagon train, why then didn't they nick their wheels off their wagons?
Well, you see, first of all...
you've heard the old expression, 3 wheels on my wagon.
Well, that's
and
an old
I'm
song,
still
isn't it?
rolling along.
But
surely the Apaches and the Sioux...
The problem is that
the Comanches...
your view of the Wild West is based on old television shows and movies, right?
No, it's not.
I'm not sure that you've studied all the journals that you need to study.
I have.
Because you might find in those journals that they actually did invent the wheel at some point or other.
No, they never used wheels.
In their history. They must have used them somewhere.
They never used wheels.
Well, I'm not sure that that's true.
Even in Dancing with Wolves, haven't you seen...
That's another movie.
Yeah, I know, but it's based on historical fact. Have you not seen Kevin Costner finally leaving the tribe and
it's a movie
and dragging a couple of poles along behind him, skin stretching through too? Hey,
what were the poles doing?
No, you know what I mean. The branches are from trees. Well, it would have been much easier to put wheels on the end of it. Well, I don't understand
but
this.
Just because they're not in Dances with Wolves doesn't mean there weren't any wheels
for
in
a civilization.
History of the Wild West. What are you shouting for?
For a civilization that was clearly advanced in its own lifestyle, if you see what I mean. They knew how to build tepees. They knew about ventilation in the tepe so as not to set fire to it and all that kind of stuff.
They had some quite interesting medicinal remedies.
Medicinal remedies. They actually were quite ruthless as well. They used to leave old people in the forest when it was freezing just to die because...
In the forest?
Yeah, they'd take them out in the forest and tell them to wait there and we'll be back for you in a couple of days, but they knew that they'd freeze to death in between time. That's how... That was sort of nature's pruning fork for the Native Americans.
But they also regarded older people as very wise, and so actually they looked after them quite considerably longer than we do.
They did, until they kind of lost all their teeth and became senile, and then they decided that they were... what did they decide? They decided they were expendable at that stage.
Possibly so. Maybe that was when they became sort of demented or something.
Well, something like that. But no, nobody's ever explained to me, no historian ever explained to me, why didn't the Native Americans use wheels? Because they're the only civilization in the whole of the history of the world who didn't. Everybody else did. The Romans, the Egyptians, they all had wheels.
Yeah.
Why didn't the Native Americans use wheels? That is a question which is as puzzling as the existence of the Loch Ness Monster.
Well,
if you see what I mean.
I've just found a bit of scholarly work here.
Yeah.
Where it says there is a fiction about the Mayans independently invented the wheel.
Right.
But they only used it for a toy, so therefore it wasn't actually considered to be the same use that the Europeans had used it for.
Yes.
And so it's not absolutely clear precisely who invented the wheel, is what people
No,
are
it doesn't matter
basically
who invented it. It was available to everybody from about... 200 BC, because we've all seen the ancient Greeks and the Egyptians with their carts, with their wheels. We've seen Ben-Hur, where the chariots are racing round. So obviously the wheels were of good technology. They could be attached to chariots.
Maybe it's something to do with the terrain in which they operated.
No,
because if you're on a horse, you can get around all sorts of rocky passes.
Yep.
You can do all sorts of you can travel on all kinds of terrain. You can even pull people behind on those stretchers you were talking about.
Yeah.
You can't always do that with a wagon wheel, which is not very strong.
Well, if that's the case, then why didn't the wagon trains that pioneered the conquering of the West and had to fight the Native American tribes, why didn't they just take a load of horses with poles sticking out the back and drag them around?
No, because
instead of the wheels.
Because their culture was such that they wanted to drag a load of other stuff with them. It's a combination of the two things, I think. One is that they didn't really need to put stuff in wagons, and two, it wasn't that necessary.
But I bet you've never thought about it before, have you?
I never have, and I never thought I'd waste 10 minutes of my life talking about it.
No.
Do you know that they've discovered 7 new planets? We're going to talk about that
next. I think it's
next.
a brilliant revelation.
This is Talk Sport. This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics. There will be a podcast coming out a little bit later. And just a reminder that tomorrow we will not be here, I'm afraid, because we're going to be on from 10 to 1 on Friday morning.
Right.
So the Porky quiz will have to be there. Here's one from Graham in Bathgate who says, Mike, ask Porky if their horses had rear view mirrors. Whatever happened to that great idea from the Porkmeister?
Well, it was a great idea, and it's one I'm still pursuing. So there might be news on that in weeks to come.
Now, here's a philosophical one from Quokka Wadger.
Right.
It says, wheels are inanimate objects. You can be as one with the horse, but not with the wheel, which is an interesting take on it as well.
Well, it's not, because a horse can pull a cart which has wheels, so you can have both, can't you?
No, but the point about the inanimate object, the fact that, the Native Americans were very much at one with their world, so maybe they didn't like to actually manufacture something which was not part of that world.
Well, a couple of poles being dragged around by a horse are inanimate objects in themselves. I'm sorry, it's the same comparison.
Richard says this, I've watched the Moses movie 5 times. Does that mean I'm now an expert in religious history?
Well, you might be. I don't know. It depends whether... I mean, when I watch films which...
Do you believe in that Moses business? Passing of the Red Sea? Because that's another great sort of philosophical dilemma, isn't it?
Well, the parting of the Red Sea was all about a low tide and a high sandbank. Everybody knows that.
Well, no,
of course
everybody
it was.
doesn't know that.
Of course they do. Well, I know that.
Some people think it was a miracle.
No, it wasn't a miracle. No, I mean, I've seen paintings
What about the
of...
feeding of the 5,000? Do you think that was a miracle?
That wasn't a miracle. That was a combination of...
Just a surreptitious use of food.
No, more food than thought, and the power of voluntary... what's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know.
Voluntary contributions, which were never sort of expected in those days. It was a Christian parable about once somebody started giving, everybody started giving.
What,
you see
like
what I mean?
pay it forward, that kind of thing?
Sorry?
Like pay it forward?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that sort of thing.
Okay.
But the Red Sea. I mean, I've seen these pictures of Moses leading people down a tunnel where there's a 20-foot high wall of water on either side.
Yes.
And the water's curled back up to.
Now those are great pieces
stop.
of art, aren't they, as well?
Yeah, they're great.
But in your world, they're not real, though.
No, they're not real. What happened was, at the point where they crossed, they just happened to coincide with a very low tide, the lowest tide in 3.5 years, and a high sandbank which had risen because of water being trapped under it. And they walked across in the same sort of way that you could walk across the causeway between the mainland and Holy Island and that sort of thing. You see what I mean?
Scott says, stop shouting. Has to be my favourite Two Mics saying. We're going to have we have a Two Mics glossary on the new website, by the way.
We certainly do.
People feel free to add to that.
Yes.
A couple of other people are saying, Jason says this, nowhere else at 3 a.m. can you get that must-have analysis of the use of wheels by Native Americans.
Well, I mean, it's you said to me once we discussed that, you said, I never thought about that before. So, I mean, it is something which people think about. And if you're not thinking about things all the time, then I'm afraid you've closed your brain off to questioning what's going on in the world, why we're here, and actually the meaning of life.
That's true. But in order to do that, sometimes you must also look forward as well as back, right? And that's what I was thinking about today, because you may know that scientists working with the European Southern Observatory...
Absolutely fascinating.
...and NASA have discovered what they think are 6 new Earths.
I thought it was 7.
No, 7 planets.
7 planets.
6 of which they believe have the right density measurements to indicate that they might be like Earth.
And could have liquid water as opposed to frozen water,
and they could be like rocky sort of environments,
Yeah.
3 of the planets lie in the star's habitable zone, apparently. And the habitable zone is also known as the Goldilocks zone, which you might have heard of before. And it means that all of these alien worlds have oceans of water, possibly, dramatically increasing the possibility of life. And all the other 5 that they think might be Earth-like also have liquid water.
I think the crucial matter is, I mean, we know that we think on Mars there's a load of frozen water, okay?
That's right.
So that's not much good because, you can't keep a human being alive with ice that won't defrost.
No, but what it means is that at one time there may have been, as you put it, liquid water.
Yes, that's right. However, liquid water is a different kettle of fish altogether. Liquid water means you can grow plants. It means you can sustain life by maintaining the hydration of the human body. And it is a very exciting. But where are these planets, and why has it taken us all my lifetime to discover they're there?
Well, the system is 40 light years away.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I suppose as part of the exploration, which is currently ongoing, they've now focused on this particular area. Apparently, according to the scientists, on a cosmic scale, it's actually not very far away.
Well, say that, but
because infinity, of course, is the final measurement of where the solar system goes.
But hang on, if they're 40 light years away, is that what you said?
Yeah.
That means light travelling for 40 years.
That's right.
and the speed of light is the fastest thing we're known to man.
But what I'm saying is that's considered in space to be relatively close.
Yeah, but
which boggles the mind itself, doesn't it?
well, A, it boggles the mind, but B, it puts into perspective the fact that, a lot of what scientists talk about is complete and utter drivel and nonsense, because if it's 40 light years away, no human being's ever going to get there anyway. So how do they work that out? I mean, I've said to you before, until we invent a spaceship that can travel at the speed of light, we can't get across the universe. But once we do invent a spaceship at the speed of light, that travels at the speed of light, we then go back in time anyway. You then invent time travel.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're constantly evolving. We're constantly finding new ways and new technologies of getting places faster and getting places, in a different form. So perhaps the fact that we've at least discovered that these things exist, nevertheless that we can't get there, is less important than the fact that we've discovered them in the first place.
I think what they seem to hold out the hope of, these scientists, right? And by the way, they've called all these planets Trappist, like as in monks, you know what I mean?
Monks, yeah.
And they got like...
Why have they done that?
I don't know, Trappist 1B, Trappist 1C, Trappist 1D, I don't know. But what they seem
Sounds
to
like
be...
a sort of Trappist dormitory, doesn't it?
Trappist dormitory. Now, what they seem to be hoping for is not that one day man will work out how to travel over 40 light years to these planets, but that there might be such advanced civilizations on these planets that old E.T. could arrive within the next 10 years.
Well, that's exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, they're hoping that if there's going to be alien life anywhere in space, and I say space because I mean I don't know how big the universe is or the galaxies.
I don't think anyone really knows.
No.
And it's also constantly expanding, right?
Yeah.
So what you're looking at now, particularly the stars and the various different solar systems, might not even be there anymore.
No, might not even be there. Absolutely right. But they're hoping that, somebody looking a bit like E.T., or certainly an alien, little green man, call them whatever you want, might have the technology to get here rather than the other way around. Now, what you said about them being 40 light years away, that's Trappist 1, okay?
Yes.
And then we go to 1A, 1B, 1C and all that kind of... No, there's no 1A, actually. It's 1 and then 1B.
Why is there not 1A?
I don't know. They've numbered them 1 and then 1B, 1C, 1D.
Yeah.
Now, the point I'm making here is you also pointed out 40 light years away. Trappist 1, which is the nearest, is 2.5 million times further away from Earth than our own sun.
Yeah.
So that's not 2.5 million more miles.
Yeah.
That's the distance from here to the sun.
2.5 million more times.
That's what I mean. The distance from here to the sun times 2.5 million is how far away they are.
Yeah.
And then it emphasises my point, the research I've just put together on this before the show tonight. Do you know how long, at the moment, the quickest any human being could get there would be 700,000 years?
Yeah, and I mean, how would you get there in any kind of craft that we currently have? Yeah, but the point is that doesn't mean that therefore we should not be exploring these areas.
Of course it does, because what a waste of time we'd spend any money trying to get there.
Well, you might as well have said that about going to places like the United States of America before anybody invented a ship.
Well, look...
Or before anybody invented a plane.
Put it this way.
You go, well, we'll never be able to get there.
Put it this way. 17 years ago, we celebrated the dawn of the second millennium of civilised Earth life, didn't we?
What?
The second millennium.
When you say civilised Earth life, what do you mean?
Well, I mean that if you take,
You mean from the year dot?
From the year zero, because there was life before zero. It was called BC, before Christ.
Yeah, I know
okay?
that. So what suddenly made it civilised when it turned?
Well, no, I'm just saying how to measure
AD.
it. I'm just trying to measure the time scale. So BC AD, year zero, okay?
Yeah.
Year zero.
Yeah.
And then we had the Dark Ages for about 400 years. Nobody quite knew what happened then because the Romans left.
It was very dark.
And it was, and we don't know what happened.
Time, by the way.
But now we've got to 2017. Now think of the chapter of history over those 2,000 years, which is fascinating. That's 2,000 years. It would take 700,000 years
but that's not the point.
to get to these planets.
Yeah, but that's not the point.
But it's irrelevant talking about them.
Yeah, of course it's not irrelevant.
Because we're never going to get there.
No, but you see, you say we're never going to get there, but you really don't know the answer to that
unless
question.
we invite a machine that travels at the speed of light.
Well, we may
and even
well
then
do.
it would take 40 years.
Yeah, but we may well invent that. So
40
the point
light
is,
years.
So you'd rather not explore anything in the future and just talk about what went on in the past?
I think, to a large extent, scientists, and particularly sort of, what are these guys called? Astronomers or what? No, they're not astronomers. Oh, astronomers,
They are astronomers, yeah. They're not astrologers.
No,
they're the people who tell you horoscopes.
That's right. I think scientists, particularly astronomers, can talk the greatest load of old Bolloxios you like, because it's all so far away. It can
Maybe
never
you should
be
become
proven.
an astronomer then.
It can never be proven.
Well, it's not a question of whether you can prove it. They can prove the existence of these planets, right?
How?
There's no doubt about that.
How did they prove
Because
it?
they've seen them with a telescope, which has happened to be called a TRAPPIST telescope, which is why they're called after that.
Yeah.
So they found these planets.
They
They know
found
they
a dot.
exist.
They found a dot.
No, they've seen them with the telescope.
Rubbish.
We
What have
haven't
they
got
seen?
any more time.
Seen
So-
it's a little green man waving, eh?
No, that was when they pointed it at your penthouse. This is Talk Sport.
Ridiculous.
The boy who wouldn't grow up chasing his own tail. The boy who couldn't grow up and acting on bail. Oh, idiot child, clutching to life. Always made to grow up, always told to shut up.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. Coming up very soon. It's Porkyvision, of course, the greatest TV review in the known galaxy.
That's right.
Which may or may not take 700,000 years to tool around.
Certainly won't.
Paul says this: 700,000 years. That's about as long as it takes Parry to get to Goodison.
Hey.
And Quokka Wadger says the Milky Way and Andromeda galaxies will supposedly collide within the next 4 billion years, forming one mega galaxy.
Oh, really? Okay, within the next 4 billion years, eh?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. We talk about the flying cars and all that.
We have done, yeah.
Do you know there's a hover motorbike
Is there?
it's been developed?
A hover motorbike. I'll tell you what's interesting about motorbikes, actually,
Yeah.
just to divert you for a second.
Yeah.
Is I was reading a piece of writing by an MP
Yes.
whose name currently escapes me, but it was all about the number of motorcycle accidents that take place in London and the number of people who die as a result of those accidents, which is far greater apparently
Yeah.
than any accidents that happen with push bikes.
With
but
pedal
nobody
cyclists, yeah.
ever talks about them. And I just
How
mentioned
do these
that.
accidents happen?
Well, they're the usual things of,
Well, they run into the side of cars.
yeah, or they come off the motorbike. But what
Yeah.
I'm saying is that, these safety measures, which are always being
Yes,
talked about by
yeah.
those who wish to push the cycling lobby, never mention the numbers of deaths caused by accidents involving people on motorbikes, which are apparently about 5 or 6 times worse.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Our head of security here, Brian, is a motorcyclist, isn't he?
He is indeed.
And a very accomplished one as well.
And he
So-
goes all over Europe on his
He does. He does. He goes down to
Occasionally comes off the
Mediterranean
bike as
coast.
well.
I suppose occasionally you do if you ride it that often. But I didn't know there was a fatality factor.
Well, apparently there is. I think we should address that at another time.
I think you're
when
right.
We know a bit more. JPK says, year zero, there was no such year. And if Porky thinks Greeks and Romans and Assyrians et al. Weren't civilised,
Yes.
he says that you have to have another think coming.
Well, you've got to question all these things as they go through. Now, this motorbike I'm talking about, it's called the hoverbike.
Oh, yeah.
It costs £120,000. It's you can get up to 19 stones worth of people on board, so that's one fat person, basically.
19 stone, right? Okay.
Yeah,
well,
that's
that
one fat
would
person.
just about get on the ex-Sutton goalkeeper, right?
It would, yeah.
So there's now a petition to get his job back.
I think they'll eventually give him his job
Do you
back.
think?
But there were two aspects to that, right?
Yeah.
One was that, there's all this confusion about betting rules and all that kind of stuff. And I don't think anybody made any money out of it, by the way. I don't think anybody
Well, the
was being
betting company
accused of-
concerned says that they paid out a 5-figure sum.
Yeah, I know, but what I'm saying is I don't think he colluded with anybody to make money.
Yeah.
I think if it was somebody abroad or something like that. You know
Yeah,
what I
maybe.
mean?
We don't know the answer
We
to
don't
that,
know the answer
and
to
that's
that
why
one.
there's an investigation.
Yeah, but the other point that was made to me, because of course I come from Stockbroker Belt, Surrey, and though I hear these things, is that the
You
manager...
came from Chester.
No, at the moment, where
I
I
see.
live, yeah. Was that the manager actually said after his team, Sutton, had put up such a sterling performance against Arsenal.
Yeah.
And remember, this happened in the dying minutes because it was only in the dying minutes the manager brought on his third substitute.
And so therefore he wasn't able to come
Therefore,
on.
the goalkeeper
Right.
was never going to be called up to play.
Right.
And
Although he was in a pub at half-time, wasn't he?
he was in the bar at half time,
Yes.
but he didn't have an alcoholic drink apparently. And what the manager was angry about was he thought that it sent an image around the world that, oh, we're a pub team.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
We're a non-league team, but we've been very professional tonight. We've matched Arsenal toe-to-toe. And yet the enduring image now is of our reserve goalkeeper eating a pie like we're a pub team from a Sunday morning.
Yeah.
And he got very upset about that, and I don't blame him.
Which maybe is understandable, but on the other hand, he does have a reserve goalkeeper who looks like he plays for a pub team. So, you can't have it both ways.
But not eating a pie.
But hang on.
That takes
No,
it
but-
to a different
No,
extreme.
well, it doesn't really, because this is a guy, you were ridiculing him earlier in the week because he slept 3 nights a week in
On
the the shambolic sort of dressing room
That's
area.
right, yeah, on the
which
couch.
we all saw,
Yeah.
which was not exactly, like a Premier Inn even, was it?
No, that's absolutely right. But anyway, this conversation started on the hoverbike,
Yes.
okay? This hoverbike, it actually works. It's been tested successfully in Russia.
Right.
There is footage now available on YouTube. It shows the pilot using the machine in a warehouse in Moscow. Rotors spinning, but the rotors look very close to the man's legs, actually. I'm going to show you a picture of this.
Oh, so it's not like a sort of hovercraft on a cushion type thing. It's hovering in the air.
It's hovering with blades that you might see on a mini helicopter.
Okay.
The makers of the Scorpion 3 plan to sell it for about £120,000
Right.
and said it would initially be used for extreme sports, but could go on to be bought by computers. Looks like a quadcopter drone with a bike chassis mounted on top of.
So has it got two wheels then?
No, it hasn't got any wheels.
No wheels?
This is the point. It's a hover bike.
Okay.
It can carry 19 stone. It can get a maximum speed of 30 miles an hour. It can reach an altitude of 33 feet. It can stay airborne for half an hour on one charge of its electric battery. The rider has manual control, but an inbuilt safety mechanism limits the aircraft's speed and altitude.
Yeah.
It's classified as an aircraft.
It only goes as high as 33 feet.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not very high, is it?
Well, you can't get over a building,
That's
can
what
you?
I mean.
Yeah.
You'd have to sort of go down normal streets, wouldn't you?
You have to go down normal street above cars.
Could you even get above the street lighting at that height?
No, I don't
Probably
think
not.
you could. Don't think you could. It says a guy called Owen McAree, who is a special. Yeah.
As in Lou McCaddy.
No, McAree. Big M, small C, big A, R-E-E.
Okay.
Specialist in drone technology at Sheffield University said, I can see these being popular in extreme sports, but I doubt they'll make it into general use because of the safety risk of the rotors failing and causing the bike to fall from the sky.
Yes.
Hoverbikes have much more scope in the military context where they could get soldiers over difficult terrain. But anyway, look, it is being sold commercial. I'll show you a picture
Maybe
of
the
it.
Native Americans could have used these
well,
because they didn't have any wheels.
Well, don't be ridiculous.
Well, no, there's a certain synergy to
Totally
the two
different
conversations.
generation, isn't it? You
Well, no, I know,
oaf.
but they didn't have wheels,
Yeah,
so they could have invented this as well.
Well, they
you might
couldn't.
as well say, why didn't they invent the hoverbike?
Because there wasn't any electricity in those days to charge it up. That's why.
Did
And
it
you worked
say-
that one out.
Did it say it only had a charge for half an hour when you said
Yeah,
that?
half an hour, yeah.
That's not very
Yeah.
long either.
Well, you could get, I mean, for instance, it would get me home easy. It'd get you home easy from here. So,
Yeah, but I'm quite happy driving, thanks.
yeah, but on the hoverbike, you'd just follow the normal road routes, wouldn't you?
Well, you say that,
Most
but-
helicopters during daytime follow a route from landmarks on the ground. They
Yeah.
don't, use radar.
No, but they
or
have to
anything.
avoid certain places, don't they?
Yeah, they do, yeah.
I mean, the trouble with things like this for me is that, there will be times in the future where people will look back on this kind of design and go, look how ridiculously kind of clanky and old-fashioned that was.
Yeah.
When we can have something which is much more modern, you know?
Yes.
Because it looks a little bit like some of the things they shoot around on in Star Wars.
Yes.
You know, those little craft that they
Yeah, it
use
does,
on
yeah.
the,
Yeah,
on
I
the
agree.
planets.
I agree.
But the other problem is that I would say I have with this is that it says it's been successfully tested in Russia.
Yes.
Now, without wishing to cast any aspersions on your comrades.
Well, that's a bit harsh,
because we
isn't
know
it?
that you're very matey with those guys.
Yes.
They're not famed for their sort of mechanical prowess, are they?
Eh?
The Russians.
Well, it depends what you mean.
Well, I mean, they're not great at maintaining things. They haven't been over the years. Their tanks all kind of fell to rack and ruin during the Cold War.
The Navy ships fell to
Their
pieces.
ships all fell to pieces. I mean, they've never really
Some of their
made...
moonshots crashed onto the moon.
They've never made a brilliant car, have they?
I wouldn't describe the Skoda as a brilliant car when they ran it, but since
what
it was bought by the West.
What was the limo? Was it a Zell or something
it
like
was
that?
the Zill.
The Zill.
And you know, the Zill was a big black car,
Yeah.
and it was their version of the Lincoln
Yeah.
or something like that.
Or
you
a
know.
Cadillac or something.
And of course, in communist Russia, when they built roads, they built 2 lanes in that direction, 2 lanes in the other opposite direction, but there was 1 lane in the middle,
Right.
which was only for use by Zills,
Right.
because Zills were only owned.
Top party members.
I was going to say by members of the party elite. And they insisted on always having a free lane on all roads to get around.
Yes.
That has since disappeared, actually. Moscow is now one of the most traffic-jammed cities in the world, or it was last time I was
But
there.
the point is, you'll see plenty of. I don't know what sort of cars people drive around in Moscow, but do they have Western cars there? A lot of them.
Well, in Moscow,
Yeah.
I mean,
do you see a lot of Land Rovers and Range Rovers?
you
and all
see
that?
the best cars in the world. You see Aston Martins,
Right.
Maseratis,
Okay.
Lamborghinis.
So that's what I'm saying is what you don't see is a lot of Russian cars because they don't make very good
No,
cars.
they don't make any cars anymore.
But they don't make very good things like that. So
They
what
don't
I'm
make
saying is-
Skodas anymore. That's bought out by a Western.
I didn't know the Skodas were Russian.
Skodas were originally Russians.
Really?
The Skoda
I thought
was
they were maybe Eastern European.
Eastern European, I think they were. I think you're right.
Russian.
Yeah, I don't think
but
they were Russian.
I mean, you would think, if, for example, if you were
Yes.
somebody that liked cars a lot,
Yes.
and you had maybe a Cadillac or a Lincoln Town Car or something
Yes.
like that, or what's that Lincoln Navigator that some footballers had, which is a big 4x4.
Yeah, that's right.
You
yeah.
would think if you were of that sort of, collecting mind,
Yeah.
you would go, I must have a ZIL limo, because it would be really cool to have one in London. But nobody's got one.
They were so bad. I mean, they broke down all the time. And
That's what I'm saying.
Used to see them on the side of the roads all the time.
to have
that kind
this
of stuff.
hover
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
tested in Russia, I think
Yeah.
it's probably not the right
Well,
place.
I don't think it was built in Russia. Just as it was tested there.
We shall
but,
see.
Yeah. Anyway, you may be absolutely right. Now,
Now, we're nearly out of time. I just want
okay.
to show you this. David has sent me this,
Oh, yes.
which he describes as the Native American medicine wheel. So they obviously had a concept of a wheel. They just didn't want to make it something that they would
what was
ride
that
around
used
with.
for?
Well, if it's a medicine wheel, then it would be something to do with medicine, surely.
Well, what do you mean in medicine wheel? Did it lie on the ground? Or
Well,
was
yeah,
it,
you put it on the
or
ground.
did you pin
probably.
it to a tree with a nail in the middle, or what?
I would suspect you'd put it on the ground,
Yeah.
and people would sit on different parts of it, with
yeah.
different colours,
Oh, yeah.
and they would choose one of the animals which is around the wheel as the sort of...
Like the sort of Chinese year of the rat and all that kind of stuff.
also as
yeah?
a sort of a remedy, perhaps.
Yeah.
They would find the remedy for their ill
Really?
around the wheel.
Really?
So the concept of a wheel was obviously around, it would seem, if you don't mind the pun.
Yeah, but look, I think you're confusing a circle with a wheel.
Uh-huh.
They certainly didn't get wheels and attach them to their poles, so it made them easier to tow things around behind their horses. And I just don't understand why they never ever accepted or adopted the wheel.
Yeah,
It
well,
seems ridiculous.
One of those questions. We'll have to get a Native American expert on to get them to answer
I
that
agree.
question.
I agree. I think we should.
Maybe next week we'll try and
Definitely.
go for that. Coming up next, though, it's time for Porkyvision.
As your TV reviewer, I can reveal
Yeah.
there are no plans for a new series.
Yeah, no, but wasn't there a previous series?
Oh, hang on, wait a minute. It says here there might be a new series. What's your problem?
It's time for Porkyvision. What about that, eh?
Yeah.
Perfect timing.
Yeah, it was. It was great. Well
what
done.
can you say?
Sorry?
What can you say?
Well, only that,
Timing is
as
everything.
usual, you bungled your way into it.
No,
I was just about to pick it up myself and do it
pop out
without
of
you.
the studio to do something. So
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
right back now with you.
Yeah.
And here we are. We're live on Periscope, by
We
the way.
certainly are.
If you're listening, you get yourself onto Twitter at the
Yeah.
two mics and fire it up and fire up the Periscope, and you'll be able to see us live.
Yeah.
And Porky's Porkyvision
Yes.
in full glorious Technicolor.
Indeed, it is. Now,
So, what have you got to give us?
Well, listen, I think there's a desperate shortage of Rogerisation programmes at the moment.
Well, that's not a bad thing.
So we're going to turn to a bit of class and quality, if you see what I mean.
That's
you know
nice.
what I mean?
I like that.
Yeah, because, I keep going on about the extensive amount of physicalia, I would call it, for another word, in
Physicalia.
TV programmes
Well,
these days.
I mean, somebody's obviously swallowed the idea that
Everything
somehow,
seems to...
somehow you get more viewers that way.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Now this programme, SSGB...
SSGB, yes. In fact, I saw a bit of that.
Yeah, garbage.
Yeah, absolute rubbish.
Garbage. I'll tell you why. It's supposed to be Britain in 1941. We lost the Battle of Britain, and the Germans moved in. But life was had to go on as quite normal, and it all centres around a guy who's a Scotland Yard detective. But it's weird because it's a plot within a plot. So you've got this vision of the Germans running the country,
Right.
But then Scotland Yard works as normal. But then what happens is...
But there's a German guy at the head of it, right? Instead of a British guy, I suppose.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, German guy, like, SS
I think-
Oberfuhren, somebody or other.
Cressida Dick.
Well, yeah, she's just been appointed
Yeah.
the new...
I think I
Bolsonaro.
lasted about 10 minutes and chucked it.
Well, what happens is, you see, because you've got to... you've got to have it up here to be able to follow these plots. What happens is a bloke is found dead in a room above a shop in Shepherd's Market,
Uh-huh.
right? The
In Mayfair,
Dollhouse.
yes.
Yeah, and that's a well-known area of ladies of the
It
night.
certainly used to be. I don't know if it still is.
Oh, it was in those days.
Well, it
in those
was when
days,
I was
okay?
a kid, yeah.
Yeah, it
Because
was
I
when
used to
you
go
were a kid,
there a lot.
Oh, really?
My parent, well, we used to go
accompanying your father.
Yeah, we used to go out for dinner there a lot because there was
really?
a guy that ran an Italian restaurant.
Good God.
just around the corner from the
Curzon. Protect you from those sort of things.
Curzon Street. Well, no, that's what's the
Anyway, so let's get on. Time is short.
No, time is short.
So
I'll tell you more about that later.
What happens is a guy's found there murdered. Now then, the problem is it going to be investigated by Scotland Yard? Is it going to be investigated by the
Germans?
Hang on. Which Germans, though? The German military? Or is it going to be investigated by the SS?
Oh, yes.
Of course, when the SS get involved, it's a problem.
Why are the SS still around if it's not peacetime now?
It's not peacetime. I mean, there's resistance movements all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
Now, they want to know if this guy was killed by, like, a resistance movement, or is he part of the resistance movement? You know what I mean?
Yes.
And for that reason, the guy who's the detective, who's a superintendent at a very young age, by the way. He's got a very young face, this guy. And he's got a complicated lifestyle. He lives with his son, but there's another woman there with her child, because I think they've both lost their partners in bombings or something like that. Right. You know what I mean? So a bit of a complicated home life. And they need to find out who killed this bloke, because it might be a member of the resistance, in which case the SS need to get involved.
I see.
But, I mean, that's all.
I don't think I could stay it for that long.
That's as far as it's got so far. Now, much better, and again about the war, the Halcyon.
You still going on about that?
Well,
I thought I'd finished by now.
No, it hasn't finished, but there were 2 episodes of it. I think they're episodes like 5 and 6, right? Which were incredibly corny and dull. For instance, they had things like, black man band member, right, suddenly strikes up friendship with white girl singer, and then for all the horrible prejudices that cropped up from that, it's very corny and very predictable, you know what I mean?
That's the problem.
Yeah, but now it's got very exciting, and I'll tell you why.
Why?
Well, the guy who died at the start was called Lord Humphreys, I think.
Lord Humphreys?
Was it Lord Humphreys?
Are you sure? Was it Mountbatten?
No. Lord Hailsham or something? Hailsham.
That sounds familiar.
Lord
Grosvenor, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't Grosvenor. No, that's Gerald Grosvenor. No. Anyway, the Lord dies and his son inherits, but his son goes off to...
Was it Livingston, was it?
No, it wasn't Livingston. I'll remember it. Hamilton. It was Lord Hamilton.
Lord Hamilton,
yeah. So he dies, so his son takes over, but his son then decides to be a war hero and goes off and becomes a flying...
a gunnery sergeant or something.
Oh, no, a Spitfire pilot, okay. But I mean head of a Spitfire unit. What do they used to call him?
Squadron leader.
Squadron leader, that's the guy, squadron leader. Which means his younger son is left in the hotel. Now, his younger son turns out to be gay. And
he's not Lord Hamilton.
No, he's the spare son, if you see what I mean, heirs and spares and all that. And he strikes up a relationship with the cocktail waiter in the hotel.
Okay.
Now then...
So I think you mentioned this the last time.
Yes, but it's now got sinister, because the widow of Lord Hamilton, Lady Hamilton, who for years had had to put up with his Rogerising of all the chambermaids in the hotel and the waitresses and the singers, right? She's now found another man. And this guy was an old friend of her husband's, right?
Which guy?
Well, this guy who sort of prowls around the hotel a bit.
Oh, right. And not the boyfriend of the other son?
No.
Sorry, you lost me there.
No. Well, you weren't listening.
I was.
I could see you were distracted.
No, I was listening.
No, the boyfriend of the other son is a cocktail waiter.
Right.
But anyway, what happens is the new boyfriend of Lady Hamilton spots the cocktail waiter coming out of the son's bedroom.
Yes.
Now, you've got to remember, we're in 1940 here.
Right.
And that sort of thing was frowned upon in those days.
It was illegal, wasn't it?
It was illegal, I think, yes. In those days. Very unenlightened, so to speak.
Yes.
And so he then knows he can blackmail the cocktail waiter to poach secrets from the second son's case, because the second son works at the Admiralty Intelligence Office.
The second son?
Yeah.
Oh, what, the gay one?
The gay one.
Oh, so he works with the Ministry of Defence as well?
He does.
I see, okay.
Right, so
it's turning into a bit of a spy thriller.
Well, no, it's actually become very interesting, because... The guy who's the new boyfriend of Lady Hamilton is a German spy. And what he's doing is he's telling the cocktail waiter, I will expose you for what you are, because, you could have been, like, arrested and banged up in those days.
Yes.
I mean, locked up, obviously.
Obviously, that's what you mean. Same kind of thing.
Yeah, and...
Family show.
And so the cocktail waiter is stealing the secrets out of his boyfriend's briefcase.
Yes.
The boyfriend being the second son of Lord Hamilton.
He's allowed to take stuff out, is he, from the...
well, this is the thing, you see.
Admiralty.
Because he's a hard worker, he's been taking secrets home. This guy's been nicking them.
I see.
Because he was, going to be exposed. And the new boyfriend is now passing them to the Germans.
Yeah.
So then...
How much longer does this go on, this halcyon?
No.
No, I mean, how
I
long
think
does
there's one
the
more
show?
episode.
One more.
Episode.
There's only one more taboo as well, isn't there?
There's only one more taboo. I'll tell you about that in a minute.
Yeah.
So then what happens is MI5 arrive.
Yeah.
And they nick the second son and say, these secrets are coming from somewhere. We've lost 3 ships in the Atlantic because somebody's given these secrets away. Is it you?
No, yeah.
He's not even aware that his boyfriend is stealing the secrets.
Ah.
But then he is. Because he confronts him and says, have you betrayed me?
Yes.
It was very like Jesus-like, you know what I mean?
What, like in the garden?
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Waiting for a cock to crow 3 times. Have you betrayed me?
Yeah.
So...
Well, I suppose you could wait a long time.
So...
And 3 of them come along at
So
once.
then second son goes to Money's boyfriend, right? Yeah.
Who's the German spy?
Who's the German spy, and says, I know what you're up to. And he says, don't be ridiculous, and push off.
Yeah.
I'm marrying your mother.
Okay.
So then second son, who's a bit of a wimp, says, oh, well, I don't really want to cause Mum any problems. So he's not going to expose him as the German spy.
That seems a bit unwise.
But there's one episode less, so we don't
But
know
see,
what's
the trouble
going
is,
to
if you watch that in conjunction with the other one,
Yeah.
SS, whatever it's called, you'd get confused.
SSGB.
Because it seems to be set in the same year.
No,
Huh?
it's 1 year apart.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
1940 in the Halcyon,
Why is it all
1941
being
is
set in this
SGB.
time? I don't like
I
it.
don't know. Anyway, yeah, but it's
You
all
haven't
the
got
fashions.
you've got time for a
great
little-
fashions,
one
great
more.
fashions, and by the way, old Lord Hamilton, who has gone off to be the Spitfire pilot hero, has left his girl behind in the hotel, who now is being Rogerized by, believe it or not, an American broadcaster who's based in the hotel.
All right.
A radio broadcaster.
All right.
Radioing back to the
Talk
United
radio.
States of America.
Yeah.
Talk radio broadcasting here. These Brits are people who will not give up.
Yeah.
Mr. Churchill says they will fight them on the beaches, they'll fight them in the fields, fight them in the goddamn streets,
Yes.
and all this kind of stuff.
I see.
And she's very taken by, this
His
American.
flamboyant nature.
Yeah, so he's getting his, as Benny Hill might have said, gets his cocoa there twice a week. You
Does
know
he?
what I mean? All
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Now then.
Now, you've got about a minute to
Now,
do one
in
more.
Taboo,
Yeah.
it's become like weird beyond belief.
It has become a bit weird.
Old
I
Hardy.
still don't know what it's about.
Old Hardy is traipsing around in a lot of mud in Wapping.
Yeah.
That's all he seems to do.
The mudlarks.
Yeah, he gets very muddy.
Yeah.
And then he goes
He's
home.
trying to kill himself at one point or go for a sort of a paddle.
No, he starts lighting fires and waving feathers over his head and all this. It's all a bit mystical and all
It
that
is a
kind of
bit
stuff.
weird, isn't it?
But as he's had Rogerization with his half-sister, which we're all a bit repulsed about, to be honest, we're not quite sure where that's going now,
No.
you know what I mean?
Well, it can't go much
And-
further, really, can it?
Can't really go much further, I don't think. And at the end of the day, the East India Company think they've got him now because, for some unknown reason, he nicked a load of gunpowder.
Yeah.
Well, in fact, he didn't. He licked a load of...
He sold the gunpowder, didn't he?
No, he hasn't sold it yet. He nicked a load of saltpeter.
Oh, yeah.
And the only way you can tell if saltpeter's any good is to eat a lot of it, right?
Really?
To chew it, yeah.
But that's
like,
a bad idea, isn't
like
it?
tobacco. Well, that's the only way you can
That's
test
bad
it.
side effects.
And if it's good, you make gunpowder. And now he's got a warehouse full of gunpowder, but nobody's quite sure why. And somebody also blew his ship up,
Yeah.
but we don't know why and for what
Well,
reason.
it's a warning, isn't it?
Hey?
It's a warning.
Well, I'm not sure. The ship's sunk now, so he can't use it to take it anywhere. So that's all getting a bit sort of complicated.
Yeah.
But there's one episode of that to go as well.
Right, okay.
So all will become clear in the end.
Very exciting.
Okay.
Whatever are we going to do when all this stuff ends?
Well, there'll be
We'll have to
other
get
stuff
some
to
new
talk about.
shows.
Don't worry about that.
Dickie says, sounds like Porky
Yeah.
completely missed this week's Halcyon episode. It's finished.
Well, I might be like sort of one episode behind, but I just don't. There's some people who haven't seen it yet. I'm thinking of them.
Okay.
You know? Yeah.
Well, you haven't seen the last one.
What do you mean?
Well, you haven't seen the last one either.
Well, I can't say. I can't say. I can't
Okay.
say. I can't talk about
Okay,
that.
that was Porkyvision,
Yeah.
folks.
Yeah.
Today you and I are not the same. You say you like the sun, I like the rain. So before we go do it all again, you better catch your own train.
This is Talk Sport That was Porkyvision. If you didn't see it the first time around, you can watch it on Twitter at the Two Mics. It is, of course, on Periscope as well. If you want to follow us there, you can. But Periscope and Twitter are sort of becoming more and more the same now, so you don't necessarily have to do both. Here's one from Keith, who says, Gorky Porky getting things off his chest by declaring Skoda's a Russian. Ha ha, checkmate. Hashtag Planksky.
They were Czech, were they?
They were Czech, apparently,
Yes, okay. Well, I kind of accepted that, so that's not a great problem. Now, we have to be aware of the fact that we're not around tomorrow night, okay?
We are certainly aware of that, yes.
Bit of a gap until Friday morning, so...
Well, yeah, it's not really. I mean, it's 24 and a bit hours, isn't it, really?
Yeah. So we must fill in people with stories that matter, like this one, for instance, which is, one of my bugbears. Britain is wasting hundreds of millions of pounds subsidising power stations to burn American wood pellets that do more harm to the climate than the coal they replaced. Now, this is all about
this
these
is another one of
places
your
in Yorkshire.
This is another one of your favourite bugbears, isn't it?
Of course it is. We've got these huge boats bringing wood over from Canada, which they then mince up into wooden pellets and put into what used to be previously coal-fired power stations, because some nutter somewhere said, we're not burning any more fossil fuel.
That's right.
We'll do it with wood from Canada.
Well, I mean,
the air pollution in those areas is now worse than it was under coal.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, that's what they say. I mean, the trouble is there's so much untruth spoken these days, isn't there? Because they're now telling us that London is more polluted than it ever has been.
It doesn't feel like it to me.
It doesn't feel like it to me either. And also, I mean, I don't remember it terribly well, but I certainly remember before they introduced smokeless fuel.
That's right, yeah.
There was terrible fog in London all the time.
Yeah.
And so they're not going to tell me it's now more polluted than it was then.
It's ridiculous. Just going on here, chopping down trees and transporting wood across the Atlantic Ocean to feed power stations produces more greenhouse gases than much cheaper coal, according to a new report. It blames the rush to meet EU renewable energy target, which resulted in ministers making the false assumption that burning trees was carbon neutral.
Yes.
It is not.
Well, I dare say burning trees is not carbon neutral, but it's still probably better than digging up coal and putting people down coal mines and all that, isn't it?
This is the report. Drax, Britain's biggest power station, received more than £450 million in subsidies from the government in 2015 for burning biomass, which was mostly American wood pellets. The report says the government's assessment of the impact on the climate of switching from coal to wood is flawed because it ignores emissions from burning pellets in power stations. Now, you know who did all this, don't you?
You're going to tell me it was Miliband, aren't you?
No, it was Cameron. Well, Miliband.
Ed Miliband was the Environment Secretary.
Ed Miliband
in Gordon Brown's government.
Was the Environment Secretary in Gordon Brown's government who stood up and said, "We will accord to the EU schedule for emissions,
for emissions and all that,
and all kinds of."
Well, that was when
no other country in Europe said that they were going to stick by them.
That was when it all started. That was also when they introduced, was it not, the exit, the emissions tax at the airport.
Exactly.
Which no other airport in the world uses apart from airports in
no
this
other country abided by it. No other country put levies on people for using certain sorts of fuels. As you quite rightly say, Gordon Brown then used as an excuse to slap £10 on every airline ticket, to fight air pollution.
More than that. I think it's more like 40 quid.
It started as 10 and it crept up. And when David Cameron became the Prime Minister, he eventually got a majority. He was obviously Prime Minister of a coalition to start off with.
Yes.
So he always used the excuse that, the Lib Dems won't let me do this, you know what I mean? Once he became Prime Minister, and people said, look, this is not only expensive and flawed, it's wrong. It doesn't work. Change it round. And his attitude was always sort of, you may say it's wrong, but those who sort of campaign about these things think it's good. I mean, so let's leave it where it is.
I don't think there's any doubt that it would be good if the world in general was able to make the world less polluted.
Yeah. Drives me mad.
I know it drives you mad, but it's becoming like a bit of a one-trick organisation, this, because you're always going on about, the fact that these emissions are ridiculous and we should not have to abide by them. But, there's nothing going to happen.
What would you say? That I should just shut my mouth and ignore
I would say
this,
that you shouldn't,
this
you shouldn't
massive...
keep reacting every single time somebody writes a piece about how terrible it is that,
it's a social crime.
Well, it's not
a huge social crime.
It's not really. It doesn't change...
And you and I are paying for it.
No, it doesn't really change anybody's life, particularly.
It does.
What I would like to see is somebody being a bit more sort of reasonable about it all and saying, all right, well, if you're going to tell me that this is wrong and somebody else is going to tell me that it's right, where is the truth?
Yeah.
You know, this is the problem we have with so many stories now. You don't know where the truth is. You know, you read an article which tells you that, in fact, this is more polluting than coal, but I don't know if that's true.
Yeah.
And I would like to see more evidence, to be honest.
But don't you understand, if we make power in this country more expensive through these ridiculous projects, you know, to cut emissions, which nobody else is doing, then all we're doing is making our competitiveness in the competitive world very, very difficult because we're charging so much for fuel.
Yeah, but one of the problems in this country is that we do charge too much for fuel.
Yeah.
We allow the electricity and the gas companies to make massive profits, right? Despite the fact that most of them
most of them are taxes invented by the government.
No, I'm talking about the people that supply electricity and gas to your house, right? These are companies which are owned, by and large, by foreign entities. They are not based in this country at all. You know, we have never put any investment into any kind of nuclear power because we've always been too frightened to do it. We've now had to get the French to come and build us a nuclear power plant, and the Chinese have to invest in it. You know, we have for years and years and decades, completely and utterly not thought about the way forward.
Yeah.
And so now we're stuck with a situation where nobody knows what to do.
Yeah.
I got an electricity bill the other day for 300 quid for a quarter.
Yeah.
Right? Now, that is the most, for a one-bedroom flat in London, is a ludicrous amount of money.
And it makes us so uncompetitive in the world.
Now,
I totally agree with you.
There's lots of people who could not afford that kind of electricity. There's lots of people up and down the country who can't afford to put heat in their houses.
I totally agree.
Because it's so expensive. The government should be doing something about these companies and these idiots who are absolutely creaming the milk, the fat off the top of the profits.
I totally agree with
and
you.
living very high on the hog. And most of them are in Spain. They're in France. They're in other countries in Europe. And we have been literally ransacked by these people.
I totally agree.
So it's not about what power stations are doing here. It's about policy for decades, which has been wrong.
But I've said all that, and you've told me that I'm sounding like a broken record.
No,
and now you've just said it all.
No, because what you said is we should be digging coal up and burning that, which is not the answer.
Well, that would make your electricity bill cheaper.
No, I don't think it would.
It certainly
No,
would.
it wouldn't.
It would because
how would it?
Because you're producing the power at a cheaper rate than you're producing it now. All these ridiculous wooden pellets.
But how would it be cheaper, though? That's my point.
It's cheaper to dig coal in this country than send tons of wood over the Atlantic from Canada. I've just read you the report.
Which report?
The report I've just read you says exactly that. You weren't listening.
No, it says that coal is cheaper to produce, but it doesn't explain how. I mean,
because if you open a mine and dig coal out in Yorkshire, it's cheaper than chopping trees down in Canada. An idiot knows that.
Well, no, an idiot does not know that because you don't have any union problems. You have lots of
rubbish.
Well, you could not open a mine in this country cheaply.
Of course you could.
I promise you.
Of course you could.
You could open one cheaply in Chile.
No.
You could open one cheaply in South Africa.
No,
but you could not do it here.
It's still there. And by the way, another bunch of half-bakes, as I'm sure you've heard, have come out today with the idea that, have you had your 5 today? Should really be, have you had your 10 today?
What, 10 fruits and vegetables?
Yeah, they want to expand it to 10 now. Yeah.
I mean, the people who have been running this country for such a long time have been completely and utterly worthless.
Exactly. Useless.
Hopeless.
From both sides of the political spectrum.
Absolutely. They've allowed all these quangos to continue to build. They've allowed all this ridiculous advice to be put out.
I don't know why we live here.
I don't know. Maybe we should move. Should we go and do the show from Barbados?
Yeah, listen to this. Eating 5 portions of fruit and vegetables every day is good for you, but 10 is much better and could prevent 7.8 million premature deaths worldwide, scientists said today. What? The findings of the study led by Imperial College London, another bunch of useless academics who live off the public purse.
I don't mind academics as long as they're making their own money.
And just publish garbage and nonsense all day long, every day. The findings of the study led by Imperial College London may dismay the 2 out of 3 adults who struggle to manage 3 or 4 portions. I mean, I despair. I am in utter despair.
Yeah, I don't blame you. How about this from Simon?
Yeah.
He says, I'm currently listening to you on a ship full of 64k MT of wood pellets. I'm not quite sure whether that's a typo.
Brilliant.
Or whether that means something. He says they're also bad for your health.
Yeah, of course they are.
I don't know what that means.
Well, I said to you, I've just read the report to you. It says that burning these wooden pellets pollutes the air much more badly
but you told me
above
the
the
other
Drax
day
power station than coal ever
but
did.
you told me the other day that my wood-burning stove was causing loads of problems because you read it somewhere.
It does.
You can't believe everything you read.
I don't believe everything I read. I believe what I read in my scientific journals, right?
Yeah, the wood-burning stove journal.
And get to the truth.
I prefer to see hard evidence rather than somebody telling me, we've done a study and this is what it says. Well, because nobody tells you the truth anymore.
Well, you say that,
and
but
that's why you have to use your own brain power to delineate the truth from the fakery.
I'm pretty good at separating the cheat from the wheat from the chaff.
You can't even say it, never mind
not
do
the
it.
cheat from the waff, the wheat from the chaff.
I'm here to separate the cheat from the waffle, which is what some people know you as. But as we said, coming up, not tonight, the Porky quiz. Coming up tomorrow, the Porky quiz will be on the League Cup because we are also working on the League Cup final day.
Yes, we are.
On Sunday afternoon.
Down at, in the environs of Wembley.
Here's one from Trevor. He says, Native Americans invented square wheels and used them for many, many years.
Don't be ridiculous.
MG
square wheels? What are you on about? Square head?
MG for Prime Minister. He will sort this all out, says Si.
No, but he won't, you see. You just gloss over it. Oh, it's not true. It is true, and you should be aware of it. I don't know how anybody in this country can heat their house anymore. I really don't. If we'd have had a really severe winter, we'd have had, honestly, people walking up and down with carts with wheels saying, bring out your dead. Yeah.
David says this is Wapping across the Thames from St Catherine's Dock. No, it's on the same side.
It is, yeah.
He says, at a meet down there looking out the window. At a meet, 8 cops are fishing a body out of the river. Well, it's not often they do that.
No, they do, a lot.
No, but I mean, not a dead body.
Oh, yeah, they do. Do it a lot. I used to see them when I lived down on the highway, and do you know what they do? They don't bother pulling the body on board anymore because sometimes the arms and legs come off. They just wrap a bag around it and then they tie... No.
Family show.
Yeah, they do, and they tie it to the side of the boat, and then they just whiz off.
Well, why don't the arms and legs fall off then?
Well, because they're not pulling them. If you pull the body aboard the boat, sometimes the legs or the arms come... No, they do, honestly.
Yeah, no, I get that, but why then would they not come off?
Because what they do is...
Going down the river at high speed.
They just wrap a bag around it and tie it to the side of the boat, so nobody's pulling the arms and the legs.
What you learn on this show. This is Talk Sport.
Old Lord Hamilton, who's gone off to be the Spitfire pilot hero, left his girl behind in the hotel, who now is being Rogerised by, believe it or not, an American broadcaster who's based in the hotel.
All right.
A radio broadcaster.
All right.
Radioing back to the
Talk
United
radio.
States of America.
Yeah.
Talk radio broadcasting here. These Brits are people who will not give up.
Yeah.
Mr. Churchill says they will fight them on the beaches, they'll fight them in the fields, fight them in the goddamn streets.
Yes.
You know,